wheel. I think he might have the strong guns finally. Ethan Warren gives him no space. He's in the wall, Turn 4, he's taken out Bruce Dean as well. Oh, big moment there, Kurt Stenberg on his roof.
Big crash in turn 4, that is an unfortunate huge crash.
The country, wherever you're watching around the country or indeed the world, welcome to the 12th round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. Bathurst, why am I saying Bathurst? Championship. Oh, it's been a great start already. I'm so used to saying Bathurst from the last round. My name's Stairs, welcome to the commentary box, Madbird.
Hello, Stairs.
Probably my worst
Welcome
intro
along.
of the entire year.
Oh goodness me! No, you should have parlayed that into Bathurst is done. Now we are into the last 2 rounds of the championship here at Gold Coast, and then next time out in Adelaide. Very, very excited to be back here in the com box with yourself, Stairs. It's been a while since it was just the two of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's the stars have not aligned for us many times this year, and so tonight they have. And so we are going to be bringing you the penultimate round of the championship where the title may well be decided, which is my excellent segue into the points classification situation. The top 4 still in contention mathematically, but it's Dayne Warren's to lose from this point. Can he wrap it up tonight? Zach Baker and Colin Warwick in 5th and 6th lost out a lot with the drop rounds, so going quite a long way back. And of course, Colin Warwick and Ethan Warren DNFing from the Bathurst 1000. Very hurtful to their championship prospects, with Colin going down to 6th from 2nd. In fact, I think he was leading heading into Bathurst. And Madbird, here's the team's point situation. That one wrapped up for Trans-Tasman Racing.
Yeah, Trans-Tasman with the dominant lead there, so they have wrapped that one up. Congratulations to them, Kurt Stenberg and Ethan Warren. The Warwick Racing team in 2nd place, Steve and Colin, father and son teammates, have done an incredible job to be where they are, but that is still in doubt with AAR WRT in 3rd. ZB Racing a little bit disappointed down in 4th. VRS Coanda Simsport, which is of course just Dayne Warren, in 5th place. Synergy Sim Racing 1, Maple Leaf Sim Sport, AWG Sim Racing 2, All Australian Races, and Team 76 Racing round out the 10 for the team's points classifications.
And let's bring you to on-track action here from... Oh, we've seen a crash immediately.
What time? What time?
What
Incredible.
time to switch. We'll see if I didn't quite see who that was. Zach Baker was driving past the scene of that accident.
Oh my goodness.
So we'll try and pick up exactly what happened there, but it did look like a pretty hefty whack against the wall for whoever that was.
I didn't recognise the livery, so I'll be interested to see who that was. But yes, anyone that was watching the pre-roll before the race started would have seen the last time we came here in 2019, which feels like a very long time ago, Stairs. The very last time that we came here was host to an incredible accident. Oh, yeah, that car's not the right way up.
I can't see. I'll see if we can zoom back. I can't actually see the name on the windscreen, so I think it's one of the newer liveries that we haven't. It's Dostal's new livery, Brandon Dostal.
Brandon Dostal.
So there was a livery update, so that's happened just a few moments before we got into the server. We got all those liveries up and running, those updated liveries, and that's one of them, I believe.
Yep. And sort of Zach Baker didn't really have to change his racing line at all to avoid that, just skated underneath. But this section of track that he's going through now,
unlike in real life,
this part of the racetrack that he's going through now was host to an incredible accident back in 2019 when we were here last. So I won't say let's hope for another excellent accident, but it certainly makes for some good pre-roll footage.
Yeah, those sausage curbs are quite... they tend to launch the cars in much the same way that sausage curbs do in real life. Something of a danger. No tyre bundles in that part of the racetrack, though. There is a tyre bundle on the inside of the first chicane, as the server momentarily lags out for us, but not through the back chicane where we saw that tremendous accident in real life yesterday.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, you showed me the footage of that accident just so that I would be clued in, as I'm, of course, not someone that watches supercars. I just talk about pretend supercars. And it looked like one hell of an accident. So
I think there were 12 cars involved or something like that.
And I must say, seeing a lot of cars up on two wheels going through that chicane of 6 through 10
It must
so
be the
far in this
fastest way.
practice session. Must be. Definitely. Probably not the highest percentage way, but probably the fastest way.
Yeah, watch out for potential accidents there. It was one of those. It was one of those situations, I think, in 2019 where we saw Kurt Stenberg on his roof through there in that race that Thomas McMillan. I can't remember if he went on to win that in 2019 or he had a dominant lead and had some sort of issue. It was either that or Sandown that he won dominantly and the other one he DNF'd from the lead, which I think was a technical issue and not actually him crashing.
That's unfortunate. It's always a shame when a technical issue.
Oh, that's Ben Rhodes in the Cameron Parrott car.
Ben Rhodes in the ever-present Tim Hortons liveried Maple Leaf Sim Sports car. So we did see him team up with Cameron for the Bathurst 1000. So perhaps Cameron not available for the Gold Coast round and has relinquished his seat to his co-driver, which is a brave move, it must be said, because it looks like it's going to be returned with less parts than it started with.
Yeah, well, thankfully the repair bills in sim racing aren't quite anywhere near as much as what they are in real life, and he'll live for another day. But that was another example of the I think the server might be just lagging out for us a bit, so we might get a replay. Here we go. See if we can catch that in replay and see if a slow motion replay will shed any light there. Now he's kind of phased through the tyres there, but then it's launched the car, and from that point onwards, he's going straight to the scene of the accident.
He's merely a passenger at that point.
Yes.
Excellent Brundleism, that one.
I thought so. So we'll see what Ben Rhodes can do tonight. He is 11th out of the 11 to start or to set times in this practice session so far. 18 in the service, so good numbers so far.
Just got if you're watching along, say hello in the chat. Always good to have some interaction back and forth. Just got SDS Racing saying go Turmo. Turmo has not yet set a lap time in this practice session. Currently sitting in 15th place. He is in the server, which that'd be a shame if you were rooting for someone that wasn't in the server.
That would suck. That would suck a lot.
Currently, the Warrens sitting in 11th and 12th with no lap times to their name. What an interesting race it could be if they started from those positions, as Brandon Dostal bumps them down.
Looking at the practice times that have been set before, or the times set before this practice session, as far as their best, Dayne Warren's best, 110.7. So that's nearly a second faster than the current fastest time in this session, which has been set by Luke Rosella. And just looking at the records, in fact, that is a smidge faster than our qualifying record that goes all the way back to 2019, the last time we raced here, which was set by Thomas McMillan. What are you seeing there, Madbird?
Oh, just Brandon Dostal getting tagging Zach Baker as he had a fairly colossal accident through the sequence of corners named 6 through 10.
Really look at my monitor a little bit more frequently when I'm going through these stats.
Just got a couple of chats rolling in. Loose Sim Network, which is of course Lewis Wedding, saying I'm here for the rollovers. I'm sure you'll get plenty of them, Lewis. And Rossi, his teammate from the Bathurst, saying yes, I remember racing this version of Gold Coast. Bad memories of ending up on my lid many times. Hans Brunsvik saying, have a drink every time a car goes up on 2 wheels or rolls. Don't do that. We will not be responsible for liver failure. And Rick Astley is going to struggle to keep up. That would be a very dangerous drinking game. Well, it's, yeah, like, how many... take a drink every time a supercar makes a position.
Well, speaking of never going to give you up, Trent Allen, back after having quite a few moments, it has to be said, during the recent Bathurst 1000. They qualified well, but they found themselves kind of facing backwards a couple of times and causing a few safety cars. So good to see him back and raring to go once again here at the Gold Coast. And have we lost Madbird?
No, hello.
No, oh, we've got
hello.
Him. Not sure if you were talking or something, but it was just a bit of a pause there.
Oh no. Well, I'm back now.
Very good.
I did lift up my microphone, so perhaps there's a loose connection or something.
Might possibly be.
I was just saying, good to see so many people back from the Bathurst 1000.
Yeah, Hayden Link, another who was around for the Bathurst 1000. Trying to remember who Hayden was teamed up with for that race in the Penrite livery.
Oh, that's a good question. I should know. I put together the spotter's guide, and yet
running by the seat of my pants, thinking, "Oh, what if he actually wasn't in that race? I've just told a
lie."
No,
he definitely was, or at least he was signed up for it. He very possibly did not actually make the start, but I'll get back to you.
We did have a couple of dropouts with the Vivid Esports team combining their 2 entries into one. RSM Latino, another who was in the recent Bathurst 1000, teamed up with Steve Warwick. And RSM Latino, one of, I think it's, I'm trying to remember the number now, 3 drivers who have done the race solo together with Brandon Dostal, I want to say. I really ought to get my stats for Ben Rhodes. That's right, he did it in 2021. And whoever it was who did it this year, I think it was Brandon Dostal, because he couldn't team up. His teammate couldn't jump in the car. But haven't done my fact checking today, so who knows?
Oh, Hayden Link. Hayden Link was teamed up with Ryan Smith in the Ignition Sim Racing entry that DNF'd on lap 87, unfortunately. So they were the code car to the winning livery car, which was of Reese McGillivray and Hayden Cuppett.
Yeah.
So they definitely did participate for 87 laps.
Michael Zalavari saying RSM Latino and Ben Rhodes. Yes, those were the 2 that I knew. It was the 3rd one that I was struggling to remember of solo Bathurst racers who have completed the entire race on their own.
Michael Zalavari, it must be said. Hello, Michael Zalavari, as he says, hi friends. Michael Zalavari, it must be said.
Not used to sitting out.
Yeah, on ready to jump in at a moment's notice. Should I falter?
Yes. How is your health? Because that was, if I'm not wrong, the issue that has been plaguing you and stopping you from getting to the commentary box of late in recent times. Yeah,
about 4 months worth of bloody coughing and sore throats and shit on and off. So it's been it's certainly been a time, but it seems to be on the up now. So I won't say it again because I don't want to jinx it. But yes, no, I seem to be okay, and Michael's done an incredible job of filling my considerable shoes while I've been incapacitated.
And filled my shoes on a number of occasions as well when I was struggling with other stuff earlier in the year. So he's kind of saved our bacon this year in this championship, and I think probably commentated more than you and I, overall probably. So we thank him for his efforts, but I'm sure his efforts are still required in the future. I think he's jumping in the next race in Adelaide as we roll into our official 15-minute practice session before qualifying starts.
Yes, indeed. I was going to say something, but it's gone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I probably talked over
Gone
it.
away. No, it can't have been important. Oh, I was going to say that in football, there used to be, back when you're a substitute player, you could just call on at any time. It wasn't necessarily a medical thing. There was a concept of the super sub. It was a player that you'd pull on, you know, when you really needed a lift. And I feel like Michael Zalavari is our super
He's
sub.
a super sub, yeah.
Yep. And it has an incredible full name that can't be spoken
Michael Fullman, Floodman,
singularly.
Zalavari.
Just, my goodness.
So Dayne Warren explaining to us there how to take those curbs and take them quickly. Despite how I don't know, it looks messy, it looks uncouth, but I'm sure it's the fastest way if he's doing it.
Yeah, I'd have faith in what he's doing, as the server seems to lock up a little bit there.
Yes, that happened on both of our screens, so not the computer, but the server, by the looks of it.
Cross feeling is that is not a continuing issue, but if you are doing the Hans Brunswick drinking game, you're probably already about 8 drinks deep, so just be careful.
Yeah, you might count, you know, this happening in the race rather than practice, you know. There's no need to practice for it. You're drinking in, unless you want to, I suppose.
I mean, how do you get better at it if you don't practice, though? Like,
yeah, well, you know, then you don't want to have a drinking problem.
No.
Airline style.
Very
Airplane
good.
style, rather.
Airplane style, yes.
Oh, and those bollards that are on the apexes of the apices, it's the plural of apex, of the chicane there, those are probably not going to last very long.
Is apices the plural of apex?
Well, in the same way that vortice is the plural of vortex.
Vortex. Oh, yeah. I've never, sue me, but I've never looked up or never thought about what the plural of apex is.
I think it would be apices, but it's probably one of those things you never hear anyone say.
That's true.
People tend to say apexes, even though I think from an English point of view it is incorrect. But, you know, if we're arguing for consistency when it comes to English, then we're fighting ourselves a losing battle there, I think.
I think we are. We've got Matt in the chat saying those curbs look spicy. They do indeed. Matt, welcome along. And we've got Rossi on the beers already, and Mugford Buttersign saying, what if I already have a drinking problem? And that's certainly...
You're going to practice.
Yeah, well, obviously you need to practice to improve that problem. So
it's all about
absolutely.
You got to get a good mouth seal around the bottom of the bottle or glass that you're drinking out of, or maybe a can. You don't want anything kind of fall. Oh. The Monster Energy car in the back of that shot. I think that was driven by Curtis Egmanis. That's Termo.
It was an accident. Yeah, it looks like another accident has happened alongside Termo.
We'll see if we can pick up a replay of that. Hayden Link is the other car involved.
Yeah, Hayden Link. Yep. Looks like a fairly significant accident at about the same part of the racetrack where they had their big accident on the weekend.
Yeah. So I mean, in good company, it has to be said. So here is Termo. So the car just wanted to roll over as he was kind of turning. It was already kind of up from. Yeah, here's Hayden Link. Yeah, and so Hayden Link's was caused by the third curb in the row. Termo's was caused by the second curb and then kind of finished off by the third curb because the car was kind of already up on 2 wheels.
Termo, must be said, seems to have gotten away with that one fairly easily. Well, not easily, but at least without damage. Not sure the same could be said for Hayden Link, who has gone into the pits.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of smoke coming from the Monster Energy car driven by Termo as well. I think I'm just trying to see on the replay from him. We're looking at Kurt in the pit lane, but I might be wrong. Termo does seem to be continuing around again and not going into the pits, so maybe the smoke was from another car.
It's probably not a bad idea to get some practice running damaged.
Yeah, because you may well be.
Because it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, so a bit of a different setup for tonight's race. 2 10-minute qualifying sessions and 2 25-lap races with a single compulsory pit stop in the first race, and in the second race, 2 compulsory pit stops to mix it up a little bit.
Very good. So not the last time we came here, it was for the Gold Coast 300, which was sort of a mini enduro.
Yes, and I think a lot of cars did find themselves not finishing that race.
Yeah, so I think this is honestly a better setup for this track.
Sean Allen was the winner in 2019 when we visited Surfers Paradise.
Goodness me.
It was originally being won by Thomas McMillan.
In commanding style as well.
Yeah.
But I think it wasn't even I think it was a technical issue, like his computer crashing, that took him out of it rather than any accident or anything.
The fastest lap was Kurt Stenberg in that particular race. 1:10.994, which remains our track record because it's the only official ASC race we've had around the Gold Coast. But he finished a distant second, 41 seconds away from Sean Allen, and those two were the only ones on the lead lap, with David Nenadich rounding out the podium 1 lap down.
Have you noticed, Des, who has just joined the server to bring it up to around 20?
Let's have a look at our live timing screen. We've got Kurt Stenberg. Is that oh, and Thomas McMillan. There you go.
Thomas McMillan has returned to the Gold Coast.
Well, they say, there's been a blockage of the track on the exit of the hairpin. 4 cars involved there.
Oh no.
Thankfully, one of them's able to exit out the pits, but there's bonnets missing, there's smoke flying up, and there's cars touring around at a reduced speed. And we have Ethan Warren and Luke Rosella looking at that point like they were going to go through the chicane side by side. Instead, they just go through the chicane, straight lining it, and there is one very locked up left front tyre there from Ethan Warren. So that was a damaged car, and is even more damaged now.
It was not under any risk of making that corner at any stage, no. I don't think. As Dayne Warren goes about, destroying everyone else's will to live.
Of a second. 1:10.2 is actually the fastest lap we've ever seen around this track. Officially.
Well, it was a good run.
Can wrap up the championship. The permutations will make themselves evident when they come out of our mouths in the various forms that they exist in. What I was about to go on about...
Eloquently put.
That's what I'm best at. Kurt Stenberg is not who I'm going to be talking about. Thomas McMillan is who I'm talking about. They say you're only as good as your last race, and he's coming off the back of the highest of highs, victor of the Bathurst 1000, with the man on your screen, Dayne Warren.
And Dayne's mother in the chat, Sonia Warren, just saying, "Yay, Thomas!" and then some beer emojis.
I think the new favourite son there, to be honest. It's
on your Sonia.
Dayne, Ethan, and Thomas as well, who's
yep.
I think, probably always welcome for a schnitzel at the Warren household after.
Do you reckon he's edged out? Do you reckon he's edged out, Ethan?
Well, I mean, Ethan does have more Bathurst victories than Dayne still, so
That's true. That's true, but
holds weight.
People have bias towards recent good things, though, over
yes.
past
They call
good
that
things.
recency bias.
Do they?
Yes.
Are you making that up, or is that a real thing?
Yeah, no, recency bias is a thing. It's like if you talk about what's the best film of all time, and you tend to have a bias towards films that were made more recently. That's recency bias. Dostal by the side of the track. I wonder if he's...
What is the best film of all time, Stess?
That's a question
out of interest.
I'm not qualified to answer, I think.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I mean, I don't know. I changed my mind about what my favourite film is, let alone the best film of all time.
The best film of all time, yeah.
I know that on IMDb for a very long time, The Shawshank Redemption was #1. I don't know if it still is. But that's a very good film.
Let's have a look. It is still The Shawshank Redemption.
There you go. I don't know. It feels too easy to say that film. Yeah, I don't know. The Godfather, I think... I don't know.
Dark Knight is third. That feels wrong.
To be fair, I've never seen that film, so I can't really comment on it.
And Godfather Part 2 is fourth. That's simply unfair.
I preferred Goodfellas to The Godfather, but I don't think...
Never actually watched Goodfellas.
I don't think you could have made Goodfellas without The Godfather having been made. Have you seen The Godfather?
Well, yeah. I've seen all of The Godfathers long ago, but have very little memory of other than Danny DeVito. Not Danny DeVito. Who's the other actor?
De Niro?
Robert De Niro.
He's a little bit taller and a little bit more mafia-like.
But both their surnames do start with De. So, you know, you get... Oh, as Lachlan Horan manages to hold it together just barely. Well, hold it off the walls anyway. Yeah.
So Danny De Niro. Robert De Niro. My goodness gracious me. I remember...
Danny De Niro.
I remember getting
Robert
DiCaprio mixed up with Leonardo da Vinci when I was a kid. I didn't really understand what the difference was.
I think a lot of teen girls during the 90s and early 2000s would probably put them on a very similar pedestal.
What, Da Vinci and DiCaprio?
DiCaprio, yeah, in terms of like their worth to humanity.
Yeah, well, I think the Mona Lisa... Was the Mona Lisa younger than 25? Because then there's something in common.
Oh, that's very good. Lewis Wedding
Design says Step Brothers, no discussion.
No discussion, yeah.
Time.
Very confident. I've never actually seen that, and I can't say I'm a huge fan of Will Ferrell in most things that he's in. So
Happy Gilmore is Lewis Wedding's vote.
You know, I saw that, and
film.
Have you seen for the 30th anniversary of Happy Gilmore, or the 25th anniversary, or whatever it is? Adam Sandler did he filmed himself doing like one of those classic Happy Gilmore tee-offs, and then the guy that played Shooter McGavin filmed a rebuttal where he sunk a very difficult putt or something.
Sorry, you still going?
Oh no, I was just going to say it was nice to see them. Nice to see them as they are now, old.
Yeah, as they are now. I think that the guy who played Shooter McGavin, I can't remember the name of the actor, but he must be commended on doing an excellent job of making that character so hateable. You just wanted to punch him in the face.
Really did an incredible job of playing an asshole. Yeah.
Oh man. And then his attempt to antagonize Happy Gilmore when he says, "I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast." He's like, "You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?"
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
Good stuff.
I can't think of anything else I've seen that man in, and yet I can see his face.
He looks familiar, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Has he been in any other? Because I put Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison and Big Daddy.
Billy Madison.
They're all in that same. They're almost like they could live in the same universe. Those movies.
Well, and it helps that they all share a lot of all of Adam Sandler's friends are in them basically. So. What's his name? Steve Buscemi's in all of that era of Adam Sandler films, I think.
I remember him in Mr. Deeds. It was like
Mr. Deeds.
He bought them all Ferraris or something.
That's right. Oh, Lord have mercy. Christopher McDonald, that was the actor. Thank you, Mugford by Design.
Let's see what his filmography is.
He played Superman in in the Batman Beyond movie.
I can see that.
Oh, no, Batman Beyond was a TV show. I thought it was a film.
He was in Grease
that's less impressive then. He was in Grease too. Oh, the mark of quality.
Yes, he played Bradley Goose McKenzie, whoever that is. Grease 2.
Bradley Goose
twice
McKenzie.
Hey?
Just the name. What an incredible name that character had. I've already forgotten it, so it can't have been that memorable, but when you said it, it rolled well off your tongue.
He was in Spy Kids 2, The Island of Lost Dreams, in quite a few sequels. Well, 3 sequels.
Rob Schneider, yep. Rob
sequels.
Schneider was another one that was in all of those Adam Sandler films at the time.
When I was a kid, I used to get Rob Schneider and Billy Crystal mixed up.
I could see that, to be honest. I can. As soon as you said I used to get Rob Schneider, and like the first thing I thought of was Billy Crystal, because I think I've had very similar moments of being like, man, why do people think this guy's good? He's like.
Well, were you referring to Rob Schneider or Billy Crystal? Because I think Billy Crystal's a good actor.
Well, yeah, but like when I thought of Billy Crystal, I'd think of Rob Schneider, and that's not a flattering comparison. Fair. No, I never did see Analyze This.
Because that was going full circle now, talking about Robert De Niro. Billy Crystal plays a psychiatrist who's dealing with a mobster who's struggling with his mental health, and it's Robert De Niro is the mobster.
Interesting.
And it's got
have you ever watched
Phoebe Buffay in it?
Phoebe Buffay. Oh, as Lisa Kudrow.
Lisa Kudrow plays. Yeah, couldn't immediately think of the actor's name, but she plays Billy Crystal's wife, or wife to be.
Have you ever? Speaking of mobsters going to therapy, have you ever watched The Sopranos, the television show?
No, Mum used to be into that.
I've watched like the first half of the first season about 4 or 5 times, and I always just get distracted by something else and fall off the wagon, as it were. And I'd really quite like to actually watch it properly, but it's the premise at the start is the same. It's this mobster has like a panic attack and like passes out, and so he's told that he needs to he's told that he needs to go to therapy, and he's like talking about how he's in waste management. Yeah, James Gandolfini. Yep. He's like using all these euphemisms, like how he's in waste management and stuff, and it's quite good. It was sort of a friend of mine that's very into TV and stuff described it as like the first prestige like long running drama show.
Yeah, like sort of a show that was movie quality.
Yeah, and it had plot lines that weren't resolved in an episode, and it was like, it's sort of the reason that we have the Breaking Bads of this world and stuff today, is that it was this big success and people liked it, and they were like, well, shit, I guess we can commit to a whole season as a story arc instead of worrying about the audience losing focus over the course of an episode.
The same sort of era as the West Wing, I suppose, as well, which did similar things in as regards to arcs that kind of spanned seasons.
That's the one with Sheen, isn't it? I've never actually watched it, but I've seen many clips.
But risky in those days, where if you missed an episode, then you missed the episode because you couldn't just stream it on demand.
What a time to be alive that would have been.
And what a time to be at the Gold Coast Street Circuit as well. 2.98 kilometres in length. We're just going to go through the details. We haven't got the corner numbers on here because it depends on what you actually look at on Google Images as to what the numbers are. Some refer to some corners as turn 5 and others as turn 11. And they're talking about the same corner. And also there's a few technical issues on our side. But anyway, that's what it looks like. And we are going to very shortly be underway for a 10-minute qualifying session, Madbird, to determine the grid order for the first race.
And it's a gaggle. They're all getting out of the garages nice and early, ready to go. They're not in a particularly neat line, it must be said. But they are nevertheless out. Whoa.
They are
Master
out.
Food. Corey McFarlane is raring to go.
Oh, is he going to get out in front of Hayden Link? No, he is not.
Oh, squeezed into the wall there by Hayden Link. That's a very aggressive pit lane exit, and he's right up his chuff. He's going to try to overtake him coming out of the pit lane, I imagine.
Thomas
McMillan.
And Thomas McMillan is finally on his way, but there's two cars that were waiting right till the end, and the other one was Aiden. I've forgotten his name. Aiden Sykes, there you go. Teamed up with his brother Keenan over in the Bathurst 1000.
Didn't
funny how your name, you go blank on names that you've been calling for 4 years sometimes. I don't. Must be a sign of age.
And that you recently called for 8 hours straight.
Yes, and who I also called as being a father and son duo when they're in fact brother and brother, which they said was the highlight.
I think we did that with both of the brother groups.
Trent and Brett Allen as well.
Trent and Brent Allen as well, yep. So Corey McFarlane has made the pass on track, so he will be our first runner to start a hot lap.
Let's see if I can get him on screen. There he is.
Just coming around the last corner as we speak.
So cars are kind of littered all around the trail. What is going on with the server? It is certainly jumping around a bit. So Corey McFarlane, here he is. Coming up to the
Just
first
down
chicane.
into turn ones, through threes.
Very,
Two
very
wheels in the
close
air.
to the edge. The Hayden Link car hit the rear against the wall on the exit. Very, very loose on delivery of power for Hayden Link in the background, but he's continued. In real life, that would be bent rear suspension, I should think. Bollard goes flying. No surprises there, but manages to carry quite a bit of speed through there, and that's not bad for a first qualifying lap for Corey McFarlane. Down into turn 11.
You want to be as out of control as you can be without hitting a wall, essentially.
Yeah, I think you take a deep breath every time you go through there, and you've got to do it 25 times in a row. I'm a little bit sad we're not doing like a 150 lapper. That would be absolutely interesting to do, like a long race rather than two shorter races. But nonetheless, I think maybe the drivers are pleased that they don't have to do that.
I was going to say that. I feel like that'd be a test of endurance. To be sure.
1:11.3 the time for Corey McFarlane and Hayden Link. 3 seconds adrift. No surprises there after we saw him tag the wall on the exit of the first chicane there. David Nedevich slots into third place. Kurt Stenberg in second. And Zach Baker fourth.
Michael Zalavari just saying 150 laps, I think Stairs said was meaning 150 lap race,
I think
not
that's
150 laps.
Ooh. No, I've said 50. Do you think he's calling for 150? Because that would be
my goodness,
too long.
How long would that'd be way too long, and oh my god, that'd be like doing enduro around Monaco or Singapore. It'd be the recipe for many crashed cars. We also missed Hans Brunswick saying unsafe releases there as they came out of the pit lane. And Mr. Walshy73 is saying, that's what my last girlfriend said.
As in unsafe release?
Possibly. I'm trying to figure out the
that was
not
Colin
good for
Warwick.
Colin Warwick.
Yeah, and that's going to kill your speed all the way down here. And so he'd be probably like losing 3 or 4 tenths from that moment, if not more. 7 tenths down on Dayne Warren, who has slotted to the top ahead of Corey McFarlane. And Ethan Warren usurps Dayne. Well done to him. Corey McFarlane third and Luke Rosella in fourth.
Well, we know which one of the which one of the Warren brothers is getting fed tonight at this stage. We're up to 22 in the server now. Stenny and Acclaim Bite have both joined.
So just quickly on the point situation, it is Dayne Warren in the box seat on 3,064. The only other drivers in championship contention are Kurt Stenberg, Ethan Warren and Corey McFarlane. Now, Ethan Warren's championship hopes took a severe dent in Bathurst when they DNF'd and didn't score any points aside from just the points you get for starting a race. Corey McFarlane is fourth. He's 504 points adrift, so realistically he is out of it. Kurt Stenberg is the closest on 219 points, so if he remains less than 300 points behind Dayne Warren at the end of tonight, he's still in contention going into the final round. Ethan and Corey, though, they have to substantially outscore Dayne in order to stay alive.
So if Dayne wins, Kurt needs to come, what, second?
I think I haven't done the exact maths on that. I'm just going to do that as we go because there are so many permutations. I think I think Kurt can finish quite a ways down and still be within that 300 points because the difference between finishing first and second is like 12 points, so he could probably be 5th, 6th or something like that.
I forget how stupid Supercars is like that.
Well, it heavily punishes you for not finishing, basically, is the way it goes. So that's why Ethan and Colin were so badly hurt by that DNF in Bathurst, because their rivals got 300
punishes
points.
you for not finishing, but also doesn't reward you very much for making up a couple of positions. So,
which surprises me how the racing is often very good for the lead when there's not a huge incentive to win a race from a points point of view compared to finishing second.
Not like, the seven points in F1, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is when you're only getting 25 points for the win.
Yeah. But I think the difference is if you win a Supercars race, no one really... Well, if you win a Supercars championship, no one really cares. You'd prefer to actually win a race. Whereas in F1, I think if you had to choose... I mean, obviously, if you win a championship in F1, you're going to win races. But there's a lot more prestige in a championship like that to win rather than like an individual race. Whereas Supercars, you'd rather win Bathurst, for example, than win a championship.
Yeah, there's a lot more prestige and respect put around that than it is around the actual Supercars championship itself.
So who's doing what right now? Dayne Warren's on an outlap, so he'll be setting another benchmark soon. He's got to try and jump ahead of Ethan, he's probably getting a little bit of a slipstream from at the moment, going down the down the start-finish straight. Maybe a little bit too far to gain from the slipstream, but nonetheless, he's got a little carrot there in his younger brother, who is currently ahead of him.
Oh, he's got a carrot in his younger brother.
As in, his younger brother is the carrot. He hasn't actually inserted it.
I understand.
We'll have to catch him first, and he's up on his PB, is Dayne Warren, and marginally up on the fastest time set by Ethan, and Ethan's just gone straight through the chicane, so he won't be improving on this lap. Very, very close there, as we saw the ZB car in the back of that shot up on two wheels. I think he might have gone into the wall. Did you see that, Madbird?
I did. David Nenadich, he's still on his roof. He's slid across to the other side of the track and gone back to the pits, so that will not be a hot lap, must be said.
Ben Rhodes is going to ruin this lap for Dayne Warren if he doesn't get out the way. It's very, very close for Dayne, but he's on a time of his own as Ben Rhodes, and he's not necessarily obliged to get out the way. He did, and whether that's cost Dayne time is going to be the question that will be answered very shortly when Dayne crosses the line. Is it pole, or has that lap been scuppered? It has not been scuppered. He's managed to jump into provisional pole position by just under 0.7 of a second.
So Ethan has, as Ben Rhodes rolls it in the background, Ethan Warren has continued on after his messy previous lap. So this is going to be his opportunity. If he's fueled, he'll probably have enough time for one more lap after this, actually. He is not setting the timing sheets alight through the first sector. He did have to negotiate that accident that Ben Rhodes was having on his, and it looks like he's not worrying about this particular lap. He's gone straight through the chicane.
So does he have fuel to have another go? I think he's looking for a bit of space on track because he won't be able to come back into the pits. So there's the ZB car. Heavily contacts the wall in the back of that shot.
I think we're going to see a lot of that.
Is really, really difficult right now.
He'll have a decent bit of space if he stays right about where he is. He's got the car in front of him, which is Luke Rosella, but in front of him, he's got nothing but clear space up to Dayne.
Who's just started a lap with 15 seconds to go as well. So Dayne may well move the goalpost as well, even if Ethan does improve here. Let's see how Ethan goes through the first chicane. Bit messy, a little bit messy. Luke Rosella jumping out the way. So nothing to worry about there from a traffic point of view. It's been this back chicane for Ethan, and he's down on his PB and on Dayne Warren by 1/10.5.
Luke Rosella improved up to third before he dived out of the way, so well done to him. As all over the curbs, about the same as his brother actually, was Ethan Warren through there, so they take very similar lines.
I'm just looking on the other screen at Dayne Warren, who looks to have backed out of it, actually. So Dayne's not going to go faster. We'll stick with Ethan to see whether he can find some time in the back end as the ZB car rolls over in the back of that shot.
This is the sector where Benjamin Rhodes got in Dayne Warren's way. So right around here was where Dayne lost all of the time that he would have lost.
Yeah, I think Ethan was messy into that corner.
A little.
Yeah, struggled on the exit as well. There was a lot of... He's going straight into the pits.
Straight into the pits. That's disappointing.
No, so a bit of a fizzer at the end of that qualifying session. Just looking at the timing screen, just Luke Rosella and Kurt Stenberg left on the track, but they are coming in as well. So that's your front row. Dayne Warren from Ethan Warren. Luke Rosella in third and Kurt Stenberg alongside him on the second row. Corey McFarlane and Colin Warwick in fifth and sixth. And we've got David Nenadich and Zach Baker, the ZBs, occupying row 4. Thomas Whitmillan and Aidan Sykes rounding out the top 10.
Very good. Michael Zalavari in the chat just saying, I really like the Supercars point system. It encourages passing, but also rewards finishing. The gaps
I don't know
grow
that
the
it
further up
doesn't...
the
I mean, it
grid you go.
encourages passing, like if you're in 15th and you want to get more points for being 14th, but it doesn't really encourage you to go for a win. It's just that they all want to win, so they still go for it and risk their 150 points.
I think if it was a European championship, it would probably be a lot less exciting.
Like I think, yeah, exactly. I think Supercars is good despite the point system, not because of it.
And we've got Hans Brunswick saying, I really like the 1970s F1 point system where 2 in 5 drivers died.
Fucking hell. Oh, I should have sweared.
Oh, goodness me.
Yes. Well, you paid millions of dollars and points went down to 6th. What's that, sorry?
Just Michael saying, damn, that's a sharp edge, Hans. Which is accurate.
And Rossi96 saying, David Nenadich is David Nenaded. In reference to him going onto his roof.
Hefty accident.
Yeah, the ZB cars, my goodness, they've had a few wrecks in the last few minutes in that qualifying session, so they'll be hoping for something a little bit more consistent throughout the first race, which, as I mentioned earlier, 1 compulsory pit stop. The pit window open at the end of lap 1 and closes on lap 23. And so they'll have a fairly large window in order to get that compulsory pit stop completed.
Yep, so pretty much back to the standard format that we've had most of the season. So most of the drivers will be pretty familiar with it. Only small difference being that we've got the 2 equal length races instead of 1 longer one and 1 shorter one.
Quite a few of the cars electing to jump out onto the track for this warm-up session. It's
the sort of track that you want to have a bit of practice around, I guess.
Yeah, the car's still filing out of the pit, so I think that's a good idea. It's one of those tracks where probably you can't have enough practice, I think. Just considering how close the walls are. Yes, we've just come from Bathurst, which technically is also a street circuit, but this is a bit different. Those curbs, I think it's a lottery with those curbs. You know, just the way the angle that you hit those sausage curbs is so important, and the speed and it can be such minute differences can make a big difference as to whether you're up on 2 wheels and in the wall or you safely negotiate them and live for another day.
What track am I thinking of that we did in the DRM season that was... It's in America, but it's very similar to... is that what I'm thinking of? Very possibly
Detroit Belle Isle is one of those street circuits. I don't think there was another street circuit. Unless you're thinking of Long
I reckon
Beach.
it was... Oh, yes, I might be thinking of Long Beach.
You do those in the DRMs?
I reckon we did a practice race there. Yes, that is exactly what I'm thinking of, is Long Beach. And I believe we did a practice race there for the DRMs. Mabbott is really loud all of a sudden, says Michael Zalavari. I'm not sure if I don't think I'm talking any differently. Maybe you're just become very sensitive to my voice.
There's no
Michael.
reason on my side why he should be any louder.
Michael just upset that he's not in the box. You know, sit the fuck down.
Must have something to do with the warm-up session scene that I'm in. I don't know. Who knows anymore?
Who knows? It's after Bathurst. It's all bonus after that anyway.
We do have the benefit of this being a championship potentially deciding race, or round, I should say. I don't think Dayne can win it specifically in this race unless it's an absolute disaster from everyone else.
If everyone DNFs
involved.
except for him.
I just have to remember as well that they do get 25 points, I think it is, for starting a race, so that makes a difference as well.
Last day of school vibes, says Michael Zalavari. No, that'll be next time, Michael, with yourself and me in Adelaide.
Yes, which is in a month and a half, 12th of December, that race, so...
Goodness me, I better be in my house by then.
The race that we didn't know if we were going to get at the beginning of this season. It was all up in the air, pending the results of an election that has since happened, and everything that was promised has eventuated by the looks of it, so it'll be good to see Adelaide get its race back, although in December, usually not the best time to be standing outside in a concrete jungle, but anyway... Given the weather we've had so far this year, it might not be too bad.
Might be right this year. Yeah, on your Malinauskas, bringing it back, and the Adelaide Motorsport Festival back next year as well. So good to see Adelaide getting its motorsport chops back once again.
Yeah, although I'd avoid that first one. Given Albert Park's bounce back of numbers at the beginning of this year, we were talking about this yesterday actually.
Yeah. I'm not keen.
Yeah, the extra crowd is just going to be something to fight. It'd be like Woodstock 99.
Another thing we talked about last night.
Just troughs of turds wafting by.
Oof, Michael is going to be marshalling at the 500. Pray for him. Yeah. The F's in the chat, everybody.
Hoping for cool weather for you, Michael, that it's not too hot. Knowing you're lucky to be the first heat wave of the summer that we have.
Enjoy your heat stroke and COVID, friend.
I don't think probably won't be any COVID out there. It'll be blasted to death by the sun.
I guess that'll be a lot of UV if it's a standard Adelaide December day, but this hasn't been a standard Adelaide spring so far.
Well, I don't think spring's really got going yet. Still feels like, beginning, end of August kind of thing.
Go me, says Kurt Stenberg in the chat.
And fair enough. He's
if you don't cheer for yourself, who is?
Well, he's up there. He's in with a chance if there's two catastrophic power failures for Dayne Warren in the next 2 nights that we're racing.
Very good.
Tonight and in Adelaide, and Kurt picks up the crumbs. He could well become our first 3-time champion in ASC, instead of Dayne Warren becoming our second 2-time champion. If you catch my drift.
Can't believe this is our 4th season doing this.
And Dayne's. Yes, exactly.
It's gone. It feels like we've been doing it for years. Which, well, I mean, we have, but
because we have
for longer than 4 years.
Oh, I thought you were saying you can't believe it, as in can't believe that it's already been 4 years. You're saying you can't believe it's only been 4 years.
No, it feels like we've been doing these forever. It's been one hell of a ride.
Well, don't forget the AMS Oz days. We did do a number of races there for the series that kind of became this series. It's the spiritual successor to that series. But we're off on the formation lap. So, Madbird, do you want to take us through the grid?
Do I ever? We've got Dayne Warren currently leading the championship, currently in pole position for race number 1. He can clinch it tonight if results don't go the way of some of his competitors. So he'll be wanting to get a good start in this race number 1. Ethan Warren, who historically has had much better starts than Dayne, is going to be starting off alongside him. So can he get the job done into the chicane? It's a messy way to start the race. Luca Rosella managed to get up into 3rd place. Very good time for him. with Kurt Stenberg behind him in fourth, the closest championship challenger, but the defending champion and closest championship challenger to Dayne Warren, starting from fourth. Corey McFarlane in fifth place, with Colin Warwick in sixth, unfortunately out of contention after leading the championship for a little while after those drop rounds and DNFing at Bathurst. Really cost him, unfortunately. We've got the two ZBs, Linus Stern, we've got David Nedidich and Zach Baker. Has sort of been a season to forget for them, unfortunately. They've usually had the team's championship sewn up by now, but not this year, unfortunately. Thomas McMillan is starting from the pits. Oh no. Oh no, Thomas. Anyway, Aiden Sykes is going to be in 10th place starting the race after a good run in the Bathurst 1000. RSM Latino / Cuz Baranguela starting from 11th after running the entire Bathurst 1000 by himself. Trent Allen in 12th place after yet another run in the Bathurst 1000. Kai Jones 13th. Turbo 14th. I know we've got a Turbo fan in SDS Racing somewhere in the chat in that Monster Energy Mustang. Alex Cattle in the AWG number 25. Good to see him showing up for this one after missing Bathurst. Steve Warwick in 16th, father of the now no longer championship attacking Colin Warwick. And Brandon Dostal 17th, Aiden Link 18th, Lachlan Horan 19th, and Benjamin Rhodes / Rhodey / Rhodium / Team Ute starting out of 20th place, last on the grid.
Masterfully done. I will just say RSM Latino did the race solo in 2019, not in 2022, when he was teamed up with Steve Warwick. But nevertheless, we are going to get going in a few short moments. Here in Surface Paradise, it's Dayne Warren versus Ethan Warren, and once again, Ethan Warren gets the better start, with Dayne coming under pressure from Kurt Stenberg on the outside. But how are they going to play this? Coming down to the tyre bundles, you've got to be careful not to hit that, and they all file through safely so far. That is the most astonishing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that is the most surprising thing so far. Luke Rosella surprising Kurt Stenberg there up the inside of the hairpin and up into third place where he qualified. So other than the first two positions swapping around, the top 5 are as they started now. Very clean start all up and down the field, must be said. We're about to hit the pinch point, though, as they all go through the chicane for the first time. Who's going to come unstuck? They're all managing it so far. I think I saw someone turning around. No, everyone has gotten through the chicane on lap 1 without any dramas. Incredible stuff from everybody, as Thomas McMillan is now 23 seconds off the back of the pack, unfortunately.
Down into turn 11, Corey McFarlane made the move on Colin Warwick after they came out of the chicane more or less side by side. Aside from that, pretty much single file, and it was a beautiful shot seeing them all bouncing off that curb on the chicane on the back straight. But as they finish the first lap, Ethan Warren leads from Dayne Warren.
He does indeed, and by a pretty healthy margin as well, a couple of car lengths. It is a pretty tricky track to overtake on.
Up in the air, Stenberg! Oh, I don't know how he got away with that one. I don't know if he did. There was a bit of damage there, but that didn't look pretty.
No, the car managed to pull up okay. No locking wheels, which is usually the giveaway in AMS for some hefty damage. So, but he has lost an immense amount of time to Luke Rosella, who's kind of skating off into the distance. I think this is all going to come down to who can go through that chicane the most times without putting it into the wall.
Battle for the lead. Dayne Warren driving around the outside of Ethan down into turn 11. I don't know how he's managed to do that. The next corner goes the right way for Ethan Warren. Dayne's going to be driven out into the wall, and somehow Ethan muscles back into the lead. Luke Rosella with a watching brief in third place. This has become a 3-car lead battle, with Kurt Stenberg 3 seconds down after that issue that he had at the beginning of the previous lap.
Alex Cattle has had an accident at turn 11. He's just gone straight on and into the wall and is now down into last place, unfortunately for him.
And Corey McFarlane putting Kurt Stenberg here under pressure. They go side by side, but Corey files back in behind Kurt, which might be dangerous considering what happened on the previous lap, but that is him opting for the safer route. Meanwhile, Dayne Warren down the inside at the hairpin has a look at his brother Ethan, and they're going to drag race their way down to the back chicane.
Yeah, it looks like Ethan got around the outside and had a better run through it. Covers off Dayne. There was barely a cigarette paper's width in that. as they go through the chicane. Luke Rosella with a watching brief on this. If either of them come unstuck, as he gets all over the place, soaring at the wheel, manages to keep it in a straight line. Very, very impressive driving from Ethan Warren.
They all bumped over that curb in different ways, and I was sure that one of them would be spat into the fence, but they all, once they settled back onto the ground, were facing the right way. It was a thing of beauty.
It was a thing of beauty as Luke Rosella just keeping his eye on this. Ethan Warren probably quite happy to back Dayne into Luke a little bit, try to give Dayne something else to think about. But Dayne is right on his rear bumper as they come down the start-finish straight, coming out of turn 15, all the way down this long curving straight, which is a contradiction of terms, into the first chicane, and thinks better of trying to go for a move down the inside of the first corner. And will he try to duck down the inside of the chicane at turn 4 again? Hairpin does not do it on this particular occasion. Ethan seems to have a bit more of a run this time around compared to last lap.
This battle that you're looking at is almost identical in structure to the Kurt Stenberg, Corey McFarlane and Colin Warwick battle that's going on a few places further back, with the Colin Warwick just lagging off the back of that battle a little bit, just like Luke Rosella's lagging off the back of this battle. But Corey McFarlane keeping Kurt Stenberg honest, just as Dayne Warren is keeping Ethan Warren honest.
Isn't he just? He's right in his tyre tracks as they go through this technical section in the back of the track.
Like, this is just a duplicate. This battle here that we're looking at with Kurt is a duplicate of this battle for the lead that we're also watching. Hard to know where to look.
With pretty much the exact same gaps between the first and second and third cars in each battle, as it looks like Ethan is on a hot lap. He's set purple first and middle sectors on this particular lap and sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:11.2.
Dayne can't be too far away from that.
Can't be, but he would be getting held up by having to worry about not hitting his brother. Not something he usually worries about from what we've heard.
Here
as
he
dives
goes
down the inside again.
Ethan sees him coming, and once again it is going to be a drag race down to the back chicane. A little bit of door-to-door contact, which may well stop the momentum of Ethan. Oh, there's going to be a point where one of them has to back out and make the choice to let the other go ahead. And in the end, it's Ethan who backs out and lets Dayne go through. If they can get through this chicane intact, it is going to be fight on, because Dayne's defending to the inside. We saw Dayne drive around the outside, but drives Ethan to the wall there and maybe gives Luke Rosella a little bit of a look in there. But Dayne Warren has the lead of the race.
He does. In the past, we've seen once he's gotten into this position, he's just stretched off into the distance. It doesn't look like Ethan's going to let him do that, at least not in the immediate future. He's glued to the back bumper and takes a much tighter line through turn 15 onto this start-finish straight. And he is going to be getting a slipstream all the way down into the chicane. Is he going to be brave enough to try to stick his nose in there? Hans Brunswick just saying it's on for young and old. Imagine the debrief at the Warrens' dinner table.
Oh my goodness. Wonder if Thomas McMillan will be involved in that chat. He's currently languishing down there in 16th place after starting from the pit lane. Qualified 9th. And it looks like Luke Rosella's having a look down the inside of Ethan. So taking advantage of that little mistake from Ethan. And Luke was there to pounce on the error. Speaking of pouncing on the error, Corey McFarlane about a lap ago got the move done on Kurt Stenberg, who's been having a little bit of a fight with Colin Warwick in the last lap or so, but they are just starting to stretch out a little bit.
Yeah, big mistake through the chicane. Got up onto two wheels for a little bit too long, did Ethan Warren, and that was enough. But he's managed to slip back through on Luke Rosella at turn 11. Great move there for Ethan Warren. But I reckon this might be Dayne Warren checking out. 1.8 seconds now, the gap.
Yeah,
and
fastest
Ethan
in the middle sector by 0.3 of a second.
Ethan with his rearview mirror full of Luke Rosella not going to have too much to think about. And go the Wogs, says Sonia Warren in the chat.
Ethan's rears might be done, I think. Very waggly on the exit of the final corner onto the straight here. Trying to break the toe, or is he just taking that line down the curved straight, to use your comment from earlier? Bit of a oxymoron.
He said that Dayne couldn't be too far behind Ethan with the fastest laps, and he has now set the new fastest lap.
Yeah, Ethan was caught napping there. He should have covered off because he knew how close Luke was behind, and he did the same thing on the previous lap, but Luke snuck through on the inside of the hairpin. So Luke's going to try to hold that position on the way down to this back chicane, which you'd think that he will, and Ethan's all out of shape, and he hits the wall. Bad moment there for Ethan Warren. Does he have steering damage from that? We'll see what happens when he breaks for turn 11, but that's given Luke Rosella a crucial break in this battle, and Corey McFarlane is not that far behind him.
Yeah, it looked like he impacted the wall pretty heavily. No major damage by the way the car is handling, but as you say, now a 2-second gap between himself and Luke Rosella, and Luke Rosella himself 3 seconds back from Dayne Warren. So in the fence goes Hans Brunswick. That was a we've been waiting for it to happen. I'm surprised it took until lap 8.
That's broken the race. My goodness, my vowels. What is wrong with them? They're all mixed up. It's broken the race up a little bit. Here is our stock take. Dayne Warren leads the way, and he has a lead of 3 seconds nearly over Luke Rosella, who is in second after that moment from Ethan Warren. So Ethan holding down that final spot on the podium. Let's see what sort of pace he has after that tag with the wall. Corey McFarlane seems to be stretching away from Kurt Stenberg at the moment. Stenberg, who is stretching away in turn from Colin Warwick just a little bit. Let's see if we can get these guys through the back chicane. Very nicely done. Oh, who's that? Luke Rosella?
Oh.
Luke Rosella's had a spin.
Yes, he has, and he's lost a bucket of positions. He's down into 6th place now. He lost positions to McFarlane, Stenberg, and Colin Warwick with that spin coming out of the chicane. So bad luck there for Luke. We've got to replay it.
Yeah, it's up on 2 wheels. So once that happens, you've got no stopping ability whatsoever. Lucky that the car kind of rolled away from the racing line there, so he didn't get collected by anyone else. Lucky for the cars coming through as well. But in that, Luke Rosella falls down to 6th place. So from second, the fortunes have been a little bit up and down for him today in this game of snakes and ladders that we're playing.
I think we've just had our first pit stop as well. Aiden Sykes has just come back out onto the racetrack. There he is on the right-hand side of your screen.
That was fortuitous timing. Or maybe not fortuitous timing. Luke Rosella, what's he done? He's booped him. He's booped the snoot, Aiden Sykes.
He's booped him. He's done a Mario. He's jumped on the Goomba and sent it flying into the air. The Goomba, unfortunately, being Luke Rosella, and that looks like a lot of damage on Luke Rosella's car. We'll see a replay of this one.
How has this happened?
He's booped, Luke Rosella booped Aiden Sykes, not vice versa.
Yeah,
so,
he hit him on the roof, which made the car jump up in the air. So Aiden Sykes would have got the surprise of his life when suddenly his car from behind went vertical up in the air.
And he's got a hell of a lot of damage. That car is not turning, is Luke Rosella's. And Aiden Sykes looks like his bonnet is a little bit looser than it was before, having just had his pit stop, unfortunately. Has found himself goombed.
Where is Luke Rosella? I'm trying to see what position he's fallen back to. He's DNF'd, in fact.
DNF'd, yeah, he's thrown it in.
That's a real shame for Luke Rosella. I want to see if we can catch the Aiden Sykes on board of that, because that would have been the most surprising accident that he's ever had. I don't think that's overstating things.
No, I don't think so. You don't generally be able to see out the top of your roof, and that's exactly where Luke Rosella impacted the Syncom Motorsports car. So I would be interested to see how much awareness he would have had of what was happening as it indeed happened.
All right, let's
C-Man is in third now, says Hans Brunswick. Here we go.
So here he is coming out of the pits. He sees Luke Rosella. He thinks, oh, I can go under him. And then suddenly he's flying towards the bridge and hitting the catch fencing, which thankfully kept him in bounds. And, that was the ZB car. Was that David Nedich or Zach Baker who went through? I want to see this from his view now. Sorry if there's anything actually happening in the race, but I just want to dissect this.
I'm keeping an eye on things. We've got a bit of a battle developing between Ethan Warren and Corey McFarlane, but I don't think there's going to be any major movement on that between now and when you manage to find an onboard from David Nedich.
Any pit stops?
I'm sure there have been. I've been too busy watching the replays of this accident.
Zach Baker, I think, was the ZB car, so we'll see if his view was worth watching. He might have actually been too far back. He came across kind of after it had already kicked off. So he saw the Luke Rosella up in the air thing, then he saw Aiden Sykes flipping through the air as well, and then said thank you very much, took the inside line and up into, well, he was already ahead of He wasn't ahead of Luke Rosella because Luke Rosella was 6th when that incident happened, and now Zach Baker is. So he got that one position, but Aiden
Can you
Sykes
imagine if
was a
that
lap
Bridget
down.
had collision?
My goodness, that would have been unfortunate for all involved. Remember how when we do a stock take, it tends to cause things to happen? Well,
It does, doesn't it?
There's an example. And look at Corey McFarlane. He's all over the back of Ethan Warren here.
Yeah, I reckon Ethan must be carrying some damage from that. That was a pretty hefty impact with the wall that he had, so I'd be surprised if he doesn't have at least some steering damage. Very politely does not try to dive down the outside of the chicane.
I thought it looked like
Corey McFarlane.
I thought it looked like he was bump drafting.
Maybe Corey has actually got a clue and has realised that the chances of them catching Dayne Warren, which let's be honest, slim to none, 19 seconds up the road,
I think
are greatly enhanced by them working together.
Is Stenberg in the pits? Yes, he is.
He must be.
Yeah, that was a moment there for Corey McFarlane. I was wondering whether Stenberg had a moment or whether he was in the pits. So that is the case that he's in the pits, and he's got a drive-through penalty. So that's going to scupper his already slim title hopes. So that is a disaster. Speeding in the pit lane, presumably the cause, or the reason
still
for
13
that.
laps for Dayne Warren to DNF it into a fence or something, so let's not...
I'm sure Kurt will be the first to tell you that he isn't expecting to win this championship from the position that he's in, but anyway. So Corey's just he's just kind of fallen off the back of Ethan a little bit towards the back end of that lap. We saw he had a bit of a moment on the back chicane. Ethan, I think, tagged the wall on the exit of the chicane himself, but both of them now dropping time to Dayne Warren. 11.5 seconds is the lead that Dayne enjoys. So
Thomas McMillan has managed to fight his way back up into 8th place after starting from the pit lane and a sector behind.
Commendable.
The rest of the runners. Very well done. F for Steady in
Zach
the
Baker's
chat.
in the pits. So Zach Baker coming in as well as Lachlan Horan and Trent Allen car as well. So the Jim's group. Funny how the pit boxes are all the ones that are closest as they could possibly be to each other. Zach Baker on the move, so to Lachlan Horan in the Jim's group car. The other ZB car, double stacking for the ZBs, so that's David Nenadich as well. But we haven't seen any of the top 4 pull the trigger yet. Well, Kurt Stenberg was top 4 when he did pit, but...
Dayne Warren into the pits, as you say that, makes a liar of you. So
well, I mean, it was true when I said it.
That's very true.
So Dayne Warren... Well, he's cutting the race exactly in half. That's the even tyre strategy, isn't it? No point to risk anything.
Well, why would you when you're 19 seconds in the lead? So,
Brandon Dostal, Colin Warwick also in, as you can see in the back of that shot. And Brandon Dostal would do well to just ease off the throttle here. He's not racing Dayne Warren, so well done.
Yeah, but I did slip him $50 if he'd crashed Dayne Warren off at some point during the race. And he's given himself a drive-through penalty, so...
Yeah, that's not worked at all well for Brandon Dostal.
I'll be taking that $50 back, Brandon.
Commiserations to Brandon. And it appears we've just lost our second computer at the moment, so a little technical issue as Brandon Dostal has a throttle issue. And
Thomas McMillan... Dayne Warren rejoining the track just ahead of his teammate from the Bathurst 1000, Thomas McMillan, who has not pit yet and is up into 5th place.
Steve Warwick's in the pits.
I don't want to race with him, but I want to win the championship team of the Bathurst 1000.
That team name is forever etched in ASC history. Etched? I meant to say etched.
Etched as the longest team name that has existed.
I said itched because I'm trying to communicate with my good friend Bagsy, who's become a New Zealander.
Ah, very good call. Yes, he is moving to the newest of the Zealands.
Exactly. Way better than
that one
Zealand.
Back in Europe.
You can dance your way there from Old Zealand.
S for Stenny in the chat. And Lachlan Horan gets a drive-through penalty. That's 3 now. So
we've also got who's that? Corey McFarlane, I think, in the pits. Let's see if we can find it. I'm having
yes, it is. Corey McFarlane just exiting the pits. Rhodey has also pit. We've got Termo and Thomas McMillan in the pits, and Brandon Dostal serving his drive-through penalty. So Stenberg Benjamin Rhodes rejoining just ahead of Kurt, wisely gets out of the way.
So Kurt's got a significant undercut there on Corey McFarlane. That's quite well done. And put Ben Rhodes in between.
Ethan Warren, race leader, coming into the pits.
So, who was he near? He was near Corey McFarlane, so Kurt Stenberg may well get the jump on Ethan Warren when Ethan comes out of the pits. Could be interesting.
Could be indeed. There is Dayne.
Warren, and here's Ethan. So Ethan's about to get dropped down to second. He's off the jacks, so he'll be on the move shortly. Kurt Stenberg's still quite a long way away. There goes Dayne through into the lead. Here's Stenberg.
It's going to be quite close, actually. Ethan is just exiting the pits now. Kurt does have a drive-through penalty,
He's going to go
remember?
through. That's true. That's true. That's a huge shame. How much did he speed in the pit lane? Does it amount for that gap over Corey McFarlane and Ethan Warren? That is a big shame that he's got that penalty because he's played himself in with the timing of his pit stop there.
And then played himself out with his lead foot, as we've seen Lachlan Horan has DNF. Not sure what happened there on lap 12.
Well,
so
he did have a penalty, so it might have been a frustration DNF, potentially.
Valid. It is hair-raising watching these cars go through that chicane. It feels like they're about to put it into a wall.
Yeah, so the question here is, does Kurt take that penalty straight away? Or does he jump out the way? Because at the moment, all he's doing is hindering his teammate.
Well,
but does he care
I'm pretty
about
sure I'm pretty sure AMS only gives you 3 laps to serve it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So he must be approaching that, because it was quite a couple of laps ago that he actually did his pit stop.
Let's keep an eye on it here. Dayne's just set the fastest lap of the race. Kurt is kind of edging towards that side of the track, so yeah.
There he goes.
Making very sure that he's down to the speed limit. Well, that was a thing that could have been interesting, but then wasn't because of the penalty, unfortunately. But just goes to show that the undercut seems to be powerful around this track.
It does. Good to remember for the next race where we'll have 2 pit stops.
Hope they
there's
actually a bit tire wear.
Actually, a bit of a battle between Rhodey in 16th and Alex Cattle in 17th,
I don't have the
which is for
computer, so
position.
I'm going to have to go through a bunch of cars to get to that. There we are, Ben Rhodes and Alex Cattle. Not Alex Cattle. Yes, it is Alex Cattle.
Alex Cattle.
He's a long way back for his lofty heights, the lofty standards that he set for himself this year.
I know he's been a sort of perennial top 10er, but he's I guess he's been out of the cockpit for a couple of rounds. So
had to pull out of the Bathurst 1000.
Oh. And as we've looked away, Ethan Warren and Corey McFarlane have resumed their battle.
Let me just jump through all the entire field to get back to them, as we're still loading up the second computer. Yes, they have.
Corey's managed to make the job through.
Is that must have been a mistake for Ethan, considering how much further ahead of Corey Ethan was the last time we were looking at this battle, which wasn't
all
a battle.
over the rear bumper of the Master Foods car.
Yeah, so well done for Corey for making it interesting by leaving the door open there. My goodness.
Mr. Walshy just confirming in the chat, yes, only 3 laps to serve a penalty, so Kurt must have been at that limit when he came in for his pit stop.
And it's dropped him down to 7th place, ahead of Thomas McMillan.
Thomas McMillan, I was about to say. And he's actually right up the chuff of Trent Allen, fighting over 6th place. So just as we've complained that that the interesting things weren't happening, interesting things have started happening.
True. Things are happening up and down the field. Hopefully we'll be able to get the second vision, the monitor on our second monitor. What's that?
Oh, Alex Cattle just gone off at turn 11 and has DNF'd in his battle with Rhodey, so that's unfortunate for him.
Attritional race for DNF so far. Luke Brazella, Lachlan Horan, Brandon Dostal and Alex Cattle all failing to finish this race.
How long did it take us to get 4 DNFs in the Bathurst 1000? I feel like it was more than 18 laps.
Yeah, I think we were only on 1 DNF for close to 50 laps or so as Ethan here goes down the inside at the hairpin. We've seen this move quite a lot tonight, and they drag race down to the chicane, door-to-door banging. McFarlane with his nose marginally in front, but who is going to lift out of it? Ethan Warren, once again, elects to live another day. It really is playing chicken, isn't it, as you head down to that chicane?
Thomas McMillan and Kurt Stenberg side by side into the first chicane, and somehow came out the other side still with their wheels on and facing in the right direction. Lap 98 of the Bathurst 1000 we got to without 4 DNFs, wow. So incredible. Maybe a bit more respect being shown to the mountain last time out compared to Gold Coast.
This might be an issue for Trent Allen because headlights are not allowed to be on during the race, so he may well find himself with a penalty for that. He's new to the series, so he may not be familiar with the rule, but the reason that the headlights are not meant to be on is because it does cause some races to have game freezes, so he'll want to have those off as soon as he can.
Yes, indeed. He's dropping behind these two, must be said. Can't seem to live with their pace, and it looks like he has turned the lights off.
Good.
Very good.
Wonder if someone told him. Maybe there's someone watching the broadcast or something. Anyway, good there. That's been resolved as we rejoin the battle of who can keep it out of the wall. And unfortunately for Corey, the answer for that was not him.
Yeah, I glanced. I turned back to that particular battle just as you did on the stream there, Stairs, and I had pretty much the same reaction as you did. We
may as well just park a camera there for the rest of the race and see who can stop their car from going directly into the wall, because it's just fascinating viewing. You could just watch the replay from that angle. But Ethan's up, nearly alongside Corey McFarlane there. It almost looks like they're touching as they go down that straight. Ethan doesn't know whether to go left or right, and I think in the end there's just no room to go through here because of the way that the circuit curves around. Corey's kind of able to block off the route without doing a double move almost.
Yeah, it's a very tricky. It's tricky because it's a very long straight, which encourages getting up alongside and trying for an overtake, but then it goes from a straight immediately into an incredibly tight three-corner chicane, which does not encourage overtaking. So you sort of, if you don't get it done halfway down the straight, then you're sort of stuck as they lap. It looks like Aidan Sykes in the Syncom Motorsports, and Ethan managed to get past as they get out of the way of that lap runner.
So 4 laps from the end, this is the closest battle on track. We never really got to resuming the stock take that we did, which was something that coincided with Luke Rosella booping Aidan Sykes on the roof. And the race kind of has gone from strange twist to strange twist ever since. Corey McFarlane looking like he's online for yet another podium in the Automobilista Supercars Championship.
Yeah, he's a very good season, must be said, for Corey. So currently sitting in, I want to say 4th in the standings. So
wide there for Ethan. Yeah, still one of those in championship contention, as we said. So it may well be worth just doing the maths on that to see exactly what the go is there. I say in championship contention, I mean only in a very mathematical sense, because he went into this round 504 points adrift of Dayne Warren.
In contention in the same way that, you know, Charles Leclerc was in contention for the F1 championship at Suzuka.
Imagine coughing that up on the last. But as it stands...
Am I still in championship contention? We are checking.
So at the end of this particular race, if you are more than 450 points adrift of Dayne Warren, you're out of contention. And as it stands, that's everyone.
Goodness me.
So
yeah, hasn't been a good race for Kurt Stenberg.
Well,
must be said, down in 7th.
Yeah, so we might as well give a race leader a bit of airtime while that battle for second is... Oh, Dayne Warren! What's happened? He's gone down an escape road. He does have the buffer. He's 22 seconds in the lead, but I think we just caught him having the back end of a little error.
Oh, and he's in the wall again. Could not get it turned.
Oh, the car's very badly damaged. He went down the escape road.
Oh my goodness. As just as you switch back to him to give him some airtime for his victory lap, he cannot turn that car left to save his life. And that gap has gone from 26 seconds to 14 seconds.
He's not going to win this race. It's only going to get
lower. He's electing not to pit, which is a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that works out for you.
He's continuing for the points. So when we caught him going down the escape road, he's already had an accident somewhere. And so he's carrying that damage. And he's just trying to bring it home. And he's bleeding time here. So that was a 46-second final sector. The second and third place cars are doing 33s and 32s. So they dropped, well, he dropped 13 seconds in that final sector. Ignore the lap counter there that says 19. He's on lap 24. So he's just got to do this and one more lap. But the lead is only 5 seconds. You'll see them in the back of that shot very, very shortly. So this is just about bringing home some points here for Dayne Warren.
And unfortunately, most of the last sector is left-hand turns, which are the turns that his car really does not want to perform right now. You can see the tyre marks left over from behind him there as Ethan Warren and Corey McFarlane can smell blood in the water. They want those positions, and they're going to have them before the end of this lap. Who is next down the road? We've got Colin Warwick about 10 seconds back, so he's likely to get there as well.
Oh, they didn't expect it! Ethan Warren got rear-ended by Corey McFarlane, and this is putting Ethan out of the championship as well. So he loses the position to... no, he doesn't lose the position to Colin Warwick yet, because the car that went through was a lapped runner. So this is Corey going for the lead of the race. This is a no-contest battle here, because Dayne's got nothing to fight with. The car is badly, badly damaged. So Ethan Warren has remained ahead of Colin Warwick, but does he have some damage? I don't think they knew just how badly damaged Dayne's car was, so they just kind of concertinaed up. I don't think that Corey can be blamed for that accident.
I don't think that was. I don't think that's worth assigning blame to. Ethan Warren now about 2 seconds down the track from Dayne Warren as Dayne tries his level best to at least make an attempt to get through the chicane in the correct way.
Well, Ethan's going to get through here. Ethan is going to get through here, but Corey's bolted. The cat's out of the bag. I mean, the race is nearly over from Corey's point of view. We have to see if we can join him in a minute.
Corey's let him back through. Corey's let Ethan back through and Dayne Warren, although I don't think he needed to let Dayne Warren back through. Colin Warwick is now right there. Corey has now bolted, having decided he doesn't need to let Dayne Warren through.
I don't know that he needs to do that.
Colin Warwick is just very carefully taking that position away from Dayne Warren, just reaching out and plucking it as if from a child. So I'll take that last podium position, thank you.
Ethan Warren's winning the race. This is the last lap, and Ethan Warren, after that redress, whether it was necessary or not, has just won the race. Corey McFarlane's going to come home second. From Colin Warwick in third. Dayne Warren finished fourth with a very, very badly damaged car. His last lap was, well, he got a track cut, so we don't actually have sector times for it, but he was bleeding 15 seconds per sector. So Dayne Warren finishes fourth. What a finish. What an unexpected finish. So that may well leave the championship open. There was a glimmer of, just as I was about to say that Dayne's got it won, we'll do the maths, but that's going to turn it on its head somewhat.
Yes, indeed. Kurt Stenberg does come home in 7th place, so not the finish, not the position he would have wanted to finish in. Thomas McMillan manages to come home in 6th after starting from the back, from the pit lane, a sector behind everybody. So incredible run from Thomas McMillan. Imagine what would have happened if he'd started on the grid. But yeah. Who else have we got? We got Zach Baker was not quite close enough to capitalise on that damage to Dayne Warren. Thomas McMillan in 6th, Kurt Stenberg 7th, Trent Allen in 8th. Excellent finish for the Allen Tech car. Termo in 9th for the Termo fans in the audience. SDS Racing, I'm looking at you. And David Nedich rolling out the top 10 to make a double top 10 for ZB Racing in what must be the first time in a while. So congrats to them. Then we've got Kai Jones, Steve Warwick, RSM Latino, Hayden Link, Aiden Sykes and Rhodey rounding out our finishers. Alex Cattle, Brandon Dostal, Lachlan Horan, and Luke Rosella as our DNFers. Luke Rosella has got to be kicking himself after that ending, because he would have been up on the podium as well.
Well, that's...
They keep us on our toes, don't they, Stez?
It actually was one of the most exciting finishes we've had, probably for all the wrong reasons, but nonetheless, it was completely unexpected. I'd never seen Dayne Warren make quite an error, to be honest. But
it performed that chicane and turn 11 flawlessly for 23 laps.
We didn't actually catch the replay.
Apparently that's the limit.
Yeah, it's too long ago for us to dig up the replay of exactly what happened there, but I'm guessing it was one of the chicanes that brought him undone. But there you go. Incredible.
Goodness me. So Dayne Warren ends up finishing 4th after winning most of the race. What a race to make a mistake in, says Kurt Stenberg. That's absolutely right. Got to be gutted of all the races to give yourself a drive-through penalty. I'm probably not helping matters. Yeah, I'm rubbing it in somewhat.
Well, what I have to mention here is my mistake from earlier. I mentioned that the gap, if it was more than 450 points at the end of that race, Dayne Warren would win the championship. But I didn't take into account there is the 25 points allotted for starting a race for each race. So with 3 races remaining, that accounts for an extra 75 points on top of that 450. So Dayne Warren needs a lead of 525 points currently to win the championship. And he doesn't have that just yet. He has a lead of 459 points over Kurt Stenberg. Ethan Warren and Colin Warwick have been eliminated and Corey McFarlane have been eliminated because they are more than that. So Ethan Warren's 587 points behind Dayne Warren, I believe. And Corey McFarlane is 744 points behind. So they're both out of it. Kurt Stenberg, though, he has to win the next race. Dayne Warren's got a DNF, I believe, and not start the race, essentially. As far as I understand, Dayne Warren, if he starts the next race, he's won the championship. All provisional, of course.
It's pretty difficult to start a race, so, we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
Well, imagine if you damage carried forward, because that car would not have been fixed in a minute if this was real life.
Goodness me, no.
But there you go. That's all happened.
What a series of occurrences, to quote myself from many moons ago. Goodness me. That was just as we were sort of winding it up and being like, well, we're not really going to have anything to talk about for the last 4 laps of this race. Suddenly we did, and my goodness, kept us on our toes.
While they're kind of gearing up in a practice session for the next, we'll see if I have my replay saves on.
I didn't. I just popped out of the server to go have a look myself, and I do not have my replay saves on, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so
I think I don't either, because I turned them off for Bathurst. Unless I've got them on the other one. We'll see. We'll see if we can get vision of that, of exactly what it was that brought Dayne Warren unstuck, because that really was the story of that race, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, that was. I reckon he must have just outbroken himself at turn 11, unless he had an accident through the chicane which caused him to outbreak himself at turn 11. But I've seen a lot of cars going off down that escape road.
I think though
Kurt Stenberg.
He missed the escape road because we saw smoke coming off one side of the car, which indicated there was already carrying damage when that happened. So, yeah.
Kurt Stenberg just saying undercut strategy was goated, so we know for a fact that the undercut is the strong strategy to do.
Cat's out of the bag now, and I don't know will it be as powerful with a 2-stop compulsory rule for the second race, because the tyre wear won't get to the same point unless they do have a running higher tyre wear than the first race. But who knows? Who knows?
Remains to be seen as we wait for the qualifying session for race number 2 to begin. while we're waiting, as you can see on the stream there, support the stream if you like what we put on. A lot of effort does go into these streams. Patreon.com/Apex Rear Wing. Anything you feel obligated. Not obligated. Obligation is the opposite of feeling like. Feel obligated to give us money. If you feel like throwing us a couple of bucks, it would be greatly appreciated. Make sure you hop onto Facebook, give Automobilista Supercars Championship a like, as well as Apex Rear Wing. And since you're in the liking mood, make sure you hit like on the stream. And throw some comments in the chat. It all helps out quite a lot and always gives us some entertainment and stuff to talk about. So thank you very much for watching, those of you who are watching.
And those who aren't, well, you're not watching, so you're not going to hear this.
Well, yeah, go bugger yourselves if you... unless you're one of the drivers, in which case, that's fair enough. I don't know.
Sometimes they do watch, and I don't know why.
I've got no idea how they pay attention while driving and watching a stream. Like I always remember Bathurst last year, 2021, when we had driver webcams for the first time, and Kurt was like doing funny faces and cracking the rider's crop as he was going down Mountain Straight and stuff. I would have put it in the wall if I was trying to be entertaining while also driving a race car. But I guess that separates the men from the boys. Trent Allen, apologies for the headlights. I've disabled them now. Good on you, mate. We thought it may have been an error.
Yeah, I don't think anyone purposefully breaks that rule. Once they know, they tend to not do it again.
Perhaps a moment of frustration flashing the lights, but other than that...
And then left them on. Let's see if we can... Here we go. So, oops, that's not the one. So this is replay vision from what we just saw. So this looked like it was the most innocuous little moment compared to some of the hits. Oh, now it's frozen on me. Come on. Come on. I spent 5 minutes looking for this and now it doesn't want to play. But
definitely
anyway,
give us money. We're professionals. This is why we need a new computer. That's
I need
someone
I need to pay someone to do this stuff so I can concentrate on it. But anyway, this was Dayne Warren while his car was intact, shortly before it stopped being intact.
Very good.
Can you believe?
Thank goodness you spent 5 minutes finding this.
Fuck's sake, honestly.
Goodness me.
Just as the cars are coming out for qualifying. So, well, I've seen it. I can describe it to you. He grazed the wall and it seemed to bend his steering. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it punctured his tyre as well. Or maybe we'll have to ask him himself. But nonetheless, it meant that his car, well, it caused the next issue, which you saw as we were following the replay originally of him going down the escape road, which caused him to more heavily damage his car.
Unfortunate. So he'll be hoping not to do that on this particular occasion.
Yep, so we are now in a qualifying session, so let's just remind you of the particulars of the racetrack as they're just currently on their outlaps. Oh, and now
those
the
are
replay
the corners.
starts. My goodness. So we'll just pull.
It even looks like a different shape to the actual racetrack. Like it's a confusing vortex of mayhem is Surfers Paradise. With a name like Surfers Paradise, who's surprised?
All right, so here we go. Here's the replay. So Dayne Warren hits the wall here, and it didn't look like... We've seen bigger hits. I think Ethan Warren hit the wall harder than that, but it must have just hit in just the right way that then this happened. So this was where we picked up the fact that Dayne was down the escape road, carrying damage, and at this point we didn't know quite how badly damaged it was. Then as we were watching the replay live, then he continued to have issues, and this was the heavier hit where he lost his bonnet, and then from there the car was pretty much undrivable, losing 13 seconds or so per sector.
Well done, Stez. Good effort hunting that one up, and yeah, that was almost innocuous, that graze on the wall, compared to some of the other accidents we saw. Aiden Sykes had a fully loaded Luke Rosella land on his roof and still continued on. So
exactly.
There's definitely some interesting things happening during that first race. Let's hope for more of the same in the second race.
Well, we like surprises. We like it when something different happens, and now I can't get out of that replay for the other screen. This is me tapping on my keyboard. I don't know if you can hear that, but anyway, I'll just Control-Alt-Delete that. So what are we seeing on timing screen?
Rory McFarlane has set the only lap so far and immediately has been eclipsed by Thomas McMillan by 1.5 tenths. And Dayne Warren about to cross the line.
Ryan Smith 5.5 seconds away from that. Dayne Warren to start a lap.
To start a lap, correct.
And we're looking at Colin Warwick, who is just starting a lap as well.
There's not much space.
Yeah, it looks like every car aside from Lachlan Horan is on the racetrack, and that's out of 19, so it will be difficult on quite a short track. We mentioned a couple of times, 2.98 kilometres.
Oh,
very short.
Ethan into the wall in the back chicane, so that's probably going to be a couple of laps buggered because he's going to have to go back to the pits. There he is.
You can see the tyre marks on the exit there.
Hefty impact.
But not the first tonight, and probably won't be the last.
He has had to wait for almost all of the field to go through because of where he is. So
there is a gap between on-track Corey McFarlane and Rhodey, actually. So there's almost an entire sector's worth of clear track. If you can time it right, find yourself in that gap, then you're laughing.
That's the exact gap that Ethan Warren had to wait for. So he's wasted about 30 seconds, and he's going to waste more time because he's one of these ones that likes to drive back to the pits no matter what, and he has got damage akin to his brothers in the first race. So this is going to be most of the qualifying session will be this accident for Ethan Warren, which is a shame.
The difference between that accident and the one that Dayne had, though, is that Ethan's didn't cost him the chance to clinch the championship there and then. Dayne's got to wait. Albeit just for the formality of starting the next race, but nonetheless, it is still in the balance. Catastrophic car failure could ruin...
Sonia, you're watching. Go shut off the power.
And then again in Adelaide. Not that we would advocate for such things. We want this to be one and fair and square, but Kurt probably doesn't.
Let's make it one fair and square in the last race, though, hey?
Yeah, but I mean, like, if he starts either one of the last two races in Adelaide, unless they go for a single race format, then he's won the right championship there and then as well. So he can't score any more points, basically.
So he's not allowed to do anything.
Well, I mean, the only thing he can do, like, in order to score points, you do get the 25 points for starting a race. That's the way I understand it. So the smallest number of points that you could possibly score is 25 points, and that would be enough, as I understand it, for him to clinch the championship.
Cool boy in the chat just saying, I was right next to that big crash yesterday. That's pretty cool, boy. That would have been a pretty hectic accident to be standing next to. I feel that would have been quite loud. Oh, does it look like the ZB cars just met rather abruptly in the pit entry?
Yes, they're going back and performing their mating ritual.
Pay up, boys, says Sonia Warren in the chat.
For what? I did not.
Well,
I didn't have anything on writing on this.
You were saying that you're Italian. I'll give you some linguine. I've got a couple of packets of linguine in the pantry.
Who's Italian?
The Warrens. And I was reliably informed by Sonia Warren because she was saying the three Wogs were battling when Luke Rosella and the Warrens were battling.
Are Wogs exclusively Italian? Can't they be Greeks and?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's a very good point.
Parts of that country, parts of that part of the world.
I do believe she specified Italians before she called them Wogs.
I didn't see that. Great food.
There it is. Three Italians.
I live almost exclusively on Italian food. Italian food.
Italian food. That's my favourite. I'm gonna. My partner Mel has a particular hate for me mispronouncing things on purpose. So that I'm putting that one away for later.
That was a genuine mistake. Just a complete mispronunciation. But
Sonia
anyway.
is Italian, confirmed. So
There you go. Well, I love your food because I'm sure you're solely responsible for it being invented. Centuries of pasta production, but.
Cool boy. Very scary.
My people have brought to the world apple strudel and bratwurst. And
yeah. Well, to be fair, apple strudel's pretty bloody tops.
yeah, and actually, I don't mind the cabbage thing. I'm blanking on the name of it. Sauerkraut. Bloody good. Fermented cabbage. Love it.
Mm.
Why just wait for it to ferment in your gut hole?
We're ever due to go to Harndorf again for some bratwurst.
Oh, mate.
And a brew.
Oh, Dayne!
Whoa.
Dayne! Oh, my goodness. And Rosella, Corey McFarlane, all caught up in that. So who was that on their roof? We'll see if we can catch a replay.
It wasn't
there.
a car I recognised. It was a very pink car.
Yeah, ruined Dayne Warren's lap, and more so Luke Rosella and Corey McFarlane's lap. So, whoever it was has exited the service. So in the replay, it looked like they were hitting an invisible object. So we may never find out the answer to that question. Very strange.
Cool boy in reference to the accident. Yeah, it was very scary. Apparently before he hit the last chicane, his hands were off the wheel and he could do nothing about it. That is very scary stuff if you're in the cockpit.
You'd probably want to be taking your hands off the wheel so it doesn't break your wrist when...
Break your wrists, yeah.
Wheels impact the wall. That looked like
Ethan has still not set a hot lap. He's just ahead of Dayne Warren on track at the moment.
And messy run through for Dayne as well.
So he should be able to get one more lap after this one, Ethan, that is.
Good job from Thomas McMillan up in third place as well. Only 8 tenths off 10. The 10.4, actually, we've kind of been neglecting to look at the actual times, but that is a record. 10.7 was the previous qualifying record heading into tonight. Do you remember what the qualifying time was for the first race?
Oh, goodness me, no.
Now, Ethan's got a track cut on that previous lap because it didn't register.
Oh, so this is going to be his one opportunity to set a hot lap.
Exactly. You only get one
otherwise
shot.
He'll be starting from the back of the grid, unfortunately for him.
His knees are weak and his arms are sweaty. Mum's spaghetti. There's vomit on his sweater already.
Mum's spaghetti.
Sonia's spaghetti.
Sonia's spaghetti. Eminem reference. Very good. Thomas McMillan just coming around the last corner. Looks like his pace is pretty good, but not setting purple sectors. And in fact, he's gone into the pits, so Thomas McMillan will not be improving his lap. Who else is out there? Luke Rosella is not. Corey McFarlane is up on his PB.
Quarter of a second down for Ethan Warren, but Dayne Warren is going faster again. Not that he necessarily needs to, because I don't think he's got a challenger, really, because Ethan's probably too far back to be able to jump into provisional pole on the lap that he's currently on, but he needs to finish this lap and just hopefully bung it on the first row from his point of view, and he does just that. He actually found time in that final sector, and Dayne's jumped into the pits because he knows that he doesn't need to finish that lap. Anyone else out on the racetrack? It looks like...
Yeah, Corey improves, not enough to take any more positions. Kurt Stenberg is just coming down the finish straight.
And Corey has... Well, he's finished the lap, so it doesn't really matter that his car is on its roof.
Also improves, but not enough for any more positions, and I think that is the last of our runners out on track. So Dayne Warren with yet another pole position from Ethan Warren. I'll be interested to see, might look up and see how many times we've had that particular pairing on the front row.
So our friend in the chat, Cool Boy, is saying he could be making his debut in Super Utes next year. Who is, if we don't mind, who are we speaking to? Just in case, you do make it into Super Utes and we can say, oh, I spoke to him online once.
Yeah, that'd be excellent.
Unless your name actually is Cool Boy and that's what you'll be running on the windscreen of your car in the Super Utes Championship if that goes through to fruition. But if it does, we wish you the best of luck in that.
Super Utes a good series.
I think it's got better since the start. They've managed to make them a little bit more racy than they were in the beginning. They were kind of just, it was basically just, dual cabs, kind of leaning their way around corners, but now they actually kind of have some battles and stuff, which they didn't initially because they weren't really powerful enough to take advantage of a tow and stuff like that. But I think they've listened to the fans' advice, which originally was, the Super Utes are on, let's go get a beer. So I think they've realised that, they needed to make a few changes to make it a more entertaining series for the fans. But it does appear that there are quite a few good categories with the S5000s and the 86s, and Porsches are very popular, although they're not my cup of tea, but they've got quite a good range of support races for supercars these days.
So of 22 races, the Warrens have been the front row for 12 of them, 13 including this one that we are about to begin. So there's a lot of talent in that particular racing family.
Lot of talent. Not wrong there. So another 3-minute warm-up session. This is an opportunity for cars to get a bit more practice. Not quite as many cars on track as we saw previously in the first warm-up session for race 1. But
Aren't you just saying that we need to race on track after the Adelaide 500 as a special end of race with the guys? I don't actually have a wheel that operates anymore.
After Adelaide, as in like in the broadcast. How are you going to broadcast and race at the same time?
Well, but perhaps the real life Adelaide 500 will just drive the circuit, which I don't believe you can access the permanent part of the circuit in a road car, can you? It's blocked off.
You could if you were getting a COVID test in recent times.
That's very
the
true.
entire main straight was basically just a massive tent where you drove in there and someone wearing a lot of PPE stuck a thing up your nose.
Very good.
It's nice to see a pit building being erected there instead of a COVID testing building.
I've gotten rather into flight sim in the last 6 months, as you may have noticed, and I bought the Adelaide airport scenery, and it includes sort of Adelaide, the airport precinct, which includes the IKEA and Bunnings immediately adjacent to Adelaide Airport, and also as a result includes the big white COVID tent that they had in the car park there for testing purposes.
They need an update that has that not there anymore.
They do.
You can have it as an expansion pack or something.
They also need to update the Bunnings sausage sizzle price, because it's the old price of $2.50, whereas it's now $3.50 across the board. So, highway robbery.
I would agree with that.
How much could a sausage sizzle possibly be?
Man.
It's a slice of bread and a sausage, Michael. What can it cost? $10?
Very good Arrested Development reference there.
Thank you.
Our friend Cool Boy's real name. He's revealed the
doxed
the face
himself
behind the mask. Yes, Blake Rankine or Rankine.
Rankine.
Correct us
Blake
if we're
Rankine.
pronouncing it incorrectly. But yes, so you may see my name, he says. So if you see that name on a windscreen in the Super Utes, you saw him here first. Unless you've already seen him prior to tonight, in which case you've already known that you've already seen him.
You would have seen him wherever you saw him first.
Exactly.
Very good.
So the
We really do. We really aren't backwards in coming forwards here, are we?
Well, are we forwards and coming backwards though?
That's a good point.
Does that mean?
Very good point.
So Dayne Warren, I should say, leads the championship currently by 459 points. Now the equation is, if he leads Kurt Stenberg, who is currently second in the championship, after this race by 350 points, then he's won the championship. So very, very tall order for Kurt Stenberg, because he's got to overhaul a 159-point gap, essentially, which means he has to win. And Kurt Stenberg and Dayne Warren can't score more than 9 points. Now, the stick in the mud there for Kurt Stenberg is that Dayne gets 25 points for beginning the next race. So if he begins the next race, then he's won the championship.
All right, well, let's see. They're gridding up.
Bailey Hall asking, is this commentary team high? You've obviously never heard us commentate before, because we're always...
High on enthusiasm. Must be said. What Stairs, as we see the cornerless racetrack once again, and Dayne Warren is on the grid, so it isn't looking good for Kurt Stenberg.
Could still DNF out of the formation lap.
That's very true. What am I trying to say?
I don't know.
Goodness me.
Have we ever seen a championship decided by someone starting a race?
No.
Is that what you were going to say?
No. Sonia Warren just saying we should have a fun end-of-year race. What sort of handicap, that's the word I'm looking for, what sort of handicap do you think we would need to give to the rest of the field, Stairs?
17 laps. Well, you mean how many do they give us, or how many... Because I don't know that we need to be giving away a handicap. I think they need to give us a handicap.
I'm thinking handicap in the sense of like a disadvantage, not a golf handicap, which is where the disadvantage to given bonuses essentially. But I mean, either way, how much of an advantage do we need over them?
Okay, so they drive their normal supercar, and we drive a Formula One car. There you go.
Sounds about right.
It could be fun. All right, well, let's take you through the grid. So Dayne Warren is just mere moments away from clinching the title, because all he has to do is start this race and he gets the 25 points he needs to clinch the title. Just needs 9 more, basically, and he'll get most of those. Well, he'll get those and more by starting the race. His brother, Ethan Warren, alongside him. Luke Rosella in third. And then we've got Thomas McMillan. Good qualifying session on only his second start, or third start, I should say, after winning in Bathurst and starting from the pit lane mere moments ago. Corey McFarlane in 5th place, ahead of Kurt Stenberg. Then we've got David Nenadich, and I think I blew past Corey McFarlane, so my apologies to Corey there. Then we've got Colin Warwick, Zach Baker, and rounding out the top 10 is Hayden Link. Good qualifying session for him in the Penrite Grove car. Aidan Sykes in 11th place, ahead of Trent Allen, who had a good result in that first race. Kai Jones is in 13th place there in the Monster Mustang. And we've got Alex Cattle for AWG, the sole AWG representative, out of 14th place. Then it's RSM Latino in the number 72 car there for Warwick Racing. Ben Rhodes flying the flag, I should say. That's an inappropriate stumble of my words there for the ever-present Maple Leaf Sim Sports entry. Steve Warwick in 17th place, ahead of Lachlan Horan, who rounds out our grid of 18 cars.
Incredible work. Nathan Higginson, this commentary has more watts than a thrift shop. Although I must say, he misspelt thrift as thrist, which somewhat dampens it there. Bailey Hall saying who yaps on about more crap, and Sonia Warren leaping to our defence and saying these guys are the best. You're obviously new. Good on you, Sonia.
Nothing stopping you from closing the window there, Bailey. So off you go. Dayne Warren is on pole position. All he has to do is start this race, and he has won the championship, Madbird.
Yeah, and it must be said, Kurt Stenberg can't be feeling too confident there, 2 rows behind him. As the lights begin to come up, we're missing someone who has not gridded up, it looks like. Actually, no, we're not.
Revs are rising. We're finally gridded up. So someone was off. There's a jump start there, I think, from the ZB car. It's David Nedadich who moved, and he gets a jump start. Ethan Warren gets a fantastic start. Thomas McMillan side by side with Dayne, who's currently celebrating the fact that he's just won the championship because he's off the line. He gets 25 points for that. Up on 2 wheels was Luke Rosella through the chicane, but it looks like they've all got through quite comfortably. And, well, that's that race off and going. Ethan Warren with a decent lead already.
Yeah, and Thomas McMillan answering the question I had last race of what would he have managed to do if he had actually started the race. And apparently what he would have managed to do is be right up Dayne Warren's chuff going through the back chicane and trying to get the pass down into turn 11 now. And gives him
I knew that would happen. I knew that would happen. Thomas McMillan here.
Dayne Warren.
Well, now that Dayne's won the championship, there's nothing really to lose from Dayne's point of view, and I think he's going to feed Thomas into the fence here, and Thomas is going to feed Dayne into the fence. You could see this coming a mile away. There was animosity between these two. Thomas is down and out.
Goodness me. Yeah, well, we knew they weren't the best of mates after the team was called. I didn't want to race with him, but I wanted to win the championship. And,
Thomas was not happy with those comments, obviously, who would be. But he's decided to repay the favour, take out his revenge on the racetrack. What a strange situation. These two teammates winning the Bathurst 1000 together and basically trying to take each other out on the first lap of this race here.
Definitely unfortunate. Thomas McMillan has dived straight into the pits, along with David Nadich, who has the drive-through penalty for that jump start. VB's hitting hard on Thomas, says Sonia in the chat. Bailey saying, what happens to Dayne if he's DQ'd out of curiosity? I'm not 100% sure. That's a very good question. If only these rules were written down somewhere. Bit of a farce, if you ask me, says Nathan Higginson. I'm inclined to agree.
But in the same way as whenever someone crosses the line to win a championship, you know, they could easily be taken out of that points-paying position by a post-race penalty. So the chances of that happening, I'd say, are quite minimal. But there you go.
Well, there goes his start bonus points. That could be a points penalty, says Rossi.
I mean, that's not unheard of. They do get points penalties in this championship. So if he got 35 points or something, he could potentially be, docked some points that would mean that currently he's not leading the championship. But, you know, we have to assume, well, we can't assume that those penalty points are going to happen when they haven't been adjudicated yet, as he goes side by side with Corey McFarlane, who has to take to the shortcut. The thing is,
Luke Rosella right up him.
Yeah, if Dayne then does finish this race, he gets another 100 or so points, which puts him even further ahead. Because the point was that he only needed 9 points going into this race to win the championship, and most of the points-paying positions are over 100 points, at least in the top 10 or so.
Oh, there's a few hefty impacts on the wall coming out of that back chicane. They seem to be going a lot harder at it this time around than compared to the previous race. I will say, in Thomas McMillan's defence, his tap on the back of Dayne looked fairly defensible in the sense that it was sort of they were going through a corner in a braking zone, whereas, as you said, Dayne simply fed Thomas directly into the wall. So, of the two of them, if one of them was to get a penalty, I would say it would probably be Dayne.
I don't know. I
suppose we'll wait and see.
Oh, Corey McFarlane's into the pits early to take the first of his 2 compulsory stops. I'd have to see it again, but it looked to me like I could just tell that Thomas was planning to feed Dayne into the fence from the moment they came out of the back chicane, and that went on for a few more corners after that. Dayne wasn't happy about Thomas going into him, so he decided to repay the favour. Whether he gets a penalty for that or not, I don't think it's going to really make too much of a difference in the championship. He's already up to Dayne Warren, into Kurt Stenberg, who's second, which we didn't really mention, given all the chaos at the beginning of the race. Ethan Warren's out to a nearly 5-second advantage in the lead of this race.
Yeah, so this is a bit of pride on the line for Kurt Stenberg to try to keep Dayne behind him at this stage. If the championship probably let's be real, even if Dayne gets a penalty, that's only going to put it off until next time out, where he's going to win it in Adelaide. So
yeah, that's my point. He only needs 9 points out of an available 450 or so.
Kurt defending for pride here and doing a pretty piss poor job of it as Dayne's up the inside at turn 15. Although Dayne goes for an early pit stop.
And so too Luke Rosella. So the worst positioned trees in the Gold Coast, just on the entry of the pit lane, obscuring our view, but behind them you can see Dayne Warren and Luke Rosella emerging.
I don't know my favourite joke I've ever made on one of these streams.
Ah, yes, the mother thing.
Yeah, those are very sexist trees because none of them are fathers.
Which was followed by just a groan from me, as I recall. That was the only other time we've raced at this racetrack, back in 2019.
Italian food.
Hey?
Italian food.
Not Italian. Italian.
Oh, Italian. To apologise.
It's just like the name of the country, Italy, with an on the end of it.
I'm very excited for some Italian gourmet food.
Oh, mate. I like gyros too. Grecian food is my favourite.
I love gyros.
So, my goodness, McFarlane got the job done on Luke Rosella through the pit stops. I'll be honest, I can't remember if he was in front of Luke before he came in, but he did dive in pretty early.
He was in front of Luke at the time.
Okay, so he's maintained that then.
He has, which... Yeah, jeez, I can't believe that they do that 25 times with most of them managing to get through without permanent damage. Because my goodness, it looks very, very scary when they fly through there.
Tis,
replied Aunt Helga.
Ethan Warren's stretched another second out there on Kurt Stenberg, so he's in fact, is Kurt in the pits?
No. He's on track, so he must have had an error. Must have had an error because he was about 5 seconds behind before.
And it's just stretched to 8, or maybe it's just the ebbs and flows of the timing around this track.
It might be the timing.
It is
the
back
timing
to 5
screen
seconds now.
Funny, yeah.
See Trent Allen and Alex Cattle also touring the pits on that occasion.
We did have Kurt previously saying that the undercut here is very powerful, so might be
side by side. Sorry to cut across you there. But Luke Rosella was having a little bit of a look on Corey McFarlane. He snuck his way through, has he?
He has. That was a little bit cheeky. And then Corey decided to close the door with, Luke Rosella's head in it, which luckily didn't come to tears. But yes, with the undercut being as powerful as Kurt Stenberg reckons, as we see the race leader Ethan Warren in the pits, it'll be interesting to see how these guys shake out when it comes to the likes of Kurt Stenberg and Ethan Warren, who have not pit yet. Well, of course, Ethan Warren has now, but Kurt Stenberg is still out on the track.
Yeah, and so
Rowdy top 10 is red flagged, says Mr. Walshy. Very true. Very true. 9th position for Roadster.
Has gone into the lead. Was that a ZB car recovering to the track on the inside of the final corner? There's so much going on in this race. Dayne Warren has just set the fastest lap shortly after coming out of the pits. And Ethan Warren has rejoined the racetrack down in 7th place.
So ahead of these two, Kurt Stenberg still has not pit. He's just coming around the last corner as we speak.
Aiden Sykes has just gone into the fence quite heavily by the looks of it. So that's unfortunately meant that he's lost his bonnet. And I think that's gone on for quite a few corners. He had an issue at the back chicane and then did a Dayne Warren. See, this here was where he probably should have elected to go to the escape road, but hindsight's always 20/20.
Isn't it? Kurt Stenberg has elected not to pit yet, as we see a drive-through penalty for David Nedich.
Yeah, and he was, I think we came across him spun on the inside of the final corner, and so he must have just not got it down to the speed limit. Car might have been a bit damaged, but didn't slow down as quickly as he was expecting it to. And watch out for Aiden Sykes as well. He may well have the same issue, as he's just jumped into the pits with a lot of damage. Maybe potentially having an issue there. And speaking of having an issue, Steve Warwick has just come a cropper on the back chicane as well. So it's whoever does it, they're in good company. Not that that's too much consolation to them.
It's claimed it's claimed a few victims tonight. Has that wall? As Kai Jones is horizontal across the track, coming out of the hairpin, I think. Actually, no, he's not. Whereabouts is for? He's just on turn 11. Actually,
I think we saw
he's
that.
He's just recovered in time for Ethan Warren and Dayne Warren to not come across him horizontal across the track.
Lucky for them.
So good recovery.
Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick are in the pits, which means that Zach Baker is leading the race.
Good for him.
Not pit, of course. So that'll shake out in the wash. But almost in unison, Kurt and Cole back into the fast lane in the pits. I say fast, It's not that fast, 40 kilometres an hour. There goes Dayne Warren through, ahead of both of them.
Dayne Warren only about 2 seconds behind his brother Ethan Warren now, so that advantage has evaporated.
So Luke Rosella stretched away from Corey McFarlane after getting that move done. Kurt Stenberg's managed to slot in between them. Colin Warwick was not so lucky. He's behind Corey.
Yeah, so undercut, maybe not as powerful this time around, just because they've made their first pit stops earlier on, so the tyre wear isn't anywhere near as much.
Need to crank up the tyre wear for this, so that then there is a potential.
Tyre wear and take away
Corey's in the fence.
Corey's in the fence.
Oh,
that is a hefty accident. Colin Warwick does well to avoid it.
Yeah, he actually
Corey
hit the wall.
Still on his roof.
He's been righted.
Thomas McMillan has managed to avoid it as well. Well done. And that is a lot of damage on that particular AAR Master Foods honey mustard car, although no locked wheels, so maybe not, still somehow less damage than Dayne Warren got from a brief little graze on the wall in the previous race. So the vagaries of Automobilista damage. Colin
Warwick had to drive quite a long way off the racing line to avoid that stricken Corey McFarlane car, and he did actually graze the wall on the left-hand side, so time will tell whether he's got any damage from that. I think Kai Jones might be in the pits from what was third place, so he's going to drop down, currently in seventh, about to lose out there, which leaves Zach Baker from Ethan Warren and Dayne Warren. So Zach Baker, the only driver not to have pit yet. Now remember, they have to do 2 compulsory pit stops in this race.
Hope he remembers that.
Yeah. It was put in the Discord, and there was a comment there to ensure drivers that it wasn't a mistake, saying underneath to shake it up, we're doing 2 compulsory pit stops. He was wagging the tail out the final corner. I thought surely he must be coming in on this lap for a new set of boots, but he's decided to go around once again.
To shake it up, crank up the tyre deg and remove the compulsory pit stops, and then people can make the gamble or try to push through with worn tyres.
Remember that race in SMP where they were all falling off the road because they all got punctures?
That was excellent.
It was amazing. So that's going on. Meanwhile, Thomas McMillan is ahead of Corey McFarlane here, who is recovering after being on his lid not too long ago. Are you reacting to Zach Baker taking a lot of curb?
I was. Have you still got him up on the other monitor, I take it?
I do. I just glanced over at that. So in case you're wondering what that was, Zach Baker very lucky to avoid a big accident after taking a lot of curbs through that back chicane.
Daniel Cox in the chat just saying, this is the original track from Race Department with the super bouncy curbs I take. You take correctly, Daniel Cox. This is a definitely an entertaining and terrifying track to watch.
So we're just going to see if Zach Baker comes in on this lap. If he doesn't, I would assume he doesn't know about the rule for compulsory pit stops, because why would you go more than 11 laps? But he has come in. So I think that's the end of a decent stint for Zach Baker, managing to keep it alive for 11 laps.
Very late, so he's gonna have a very short final stint.
This battle's gonna be lively.
It is.
Thomas is not gonna make it easy.
And Thomas McMillan, nothing left on the table for these two.
These two both with fairly heavily stricken cars. You can see the damage on the inside, the left-hand side of Corey McFarlane's door there. McMillan missing a bonnet. Got into terse words with Dayne Warren on the start of the lap, and that's a bit naughty there, weaving on the straight quite like that. That could be an aeroplane crash as they come through and nearly wipe out Zach Baker, who's returning to the racetrack after taking his pit stop. And Zach Baker may well have the pace on these two with new tyres. These guys have been... Well, look, he's already caught them. His tyres are not even warmed up yet. Look at the braking performance he has. I think he wants to just hang back through this back chicane and then try and mug them down into turn 11.
Yep, just wait for them to inevitably take one another out going through this back chicane. Although Corey is slightly wise ahead, decides not to try to stick it up the inside. They're all a little bit four-wheel drifty coming out of turn 10.
The thing is, they're sending it through that back chicane, and they were probably a lot less cautious there than Zach was, who's caught up to them because they went side by side through 11 and 12. And Zach doesn't know where to go. He's got so much pace, he doesn't know what to do with it. Anywhere there's a gap, it's not well, anywhere there's a gap is not a gap, basically, because they're side by side. But he's snuck through on Corey, and he might get a good run on Thomas here.
That was a very, very nice move for Zach. Managed to sneak into a very quickly closing door, and he's got the inside of this long back straight, which is a contradiction of terms. And Thomas McMillan tried to close him out into the wall. Zach was having none of it.
That's silly.
Basically flung himself into the wall.
Drive through, so he's got a track cut. Corey McFarlane has a track cut.
Oh no. So this battle has suddenly exploded apart like so many stars during the formation of the universe. And the three cars that were previously joined at the hip are now spread out about a second apart each.
While that was happening,
down the back straight.
The leaders had a bit of a moment coming across the accident that Ben Rhodes had just had coming through the back chicane. So this was what happened to Ben. So he tried to recover and then did a very good job in the end to the detriment of his own front to jump out the way. Don't know that he checked the track map though before he flung that around. But yeah, it was a bit of a hairy moment, has to be said.
He's actually done quite well, to be honest.
Yeah.
After his initial error of flinging it out onto the racing line, he was very quick to react to the fact that there was a car there. As looks like Corey McFarlane and Zach Baker are still battling throughout the rest of that lap, down into turn one. Corey on the inside and a little bit of a tap. That was always going to end in an airplane crash. Did Zach turn in early there, or did he just not know Corey was there? Corey's diving down to the inside, and I think Zach's going to have more traction around the outside. Whipped around the outside. So much more pace on those newer tyres. That was impressive. That was very impressive. Just it looked like he barely took his foot out of it as he swung the long way around the outside. Corey desperate to stick his nose up, but compromised his line as a result. Corey's going to shortcut the straight and gave himself another drive-through penalty.
That's
so
three,
he's out of track cuts, and he is going to have to either serve those or he will be DQ'd in short order as they approach 3 laps from the first one.
Thomas McMillan and Ben Rhodes just two at the pit lane. It'd be interesting to see those two sharing a room together. You know, see what they had to talk about, you know. Put them in a room with a banana and a sandwich. Just, you know, lock them in and see if they fight over one or other of the 2 food items. Corey intercepted.
Our race leader, Ethan Warren, has just exited the pit lane as Corey McFarlane enters it from the other end. So has served his second pit stop.
So also going on, Luke Rosella and Kurt Stenberg fighting it out over what's currently 2nd and 3rd place. Corey's just driven into his garage, so he's not even going to serve the drive-through penalty. He's going to DNF. So that's unfortunate.
Honestly valid. I thought Kurt had over-rotated it there into the wall, but managed to pull it up. They're catching up on Rhodey, who seems to always find his way into the middle of these things, and he's chosen not to get out of the way for the corner, which I suppose fair enough. It was sort of an awkward spot to be caught, but Kurt and Luke have gotten through on him.
Eden Sykes is on his roof, and these guys are coming up to that right now. He's been righted, but he's got to get off. He's spun it round, and I think he'll get out of the way just in time.
Thomas McMillan threaded the eye of that needle very, very well.
We should do more races at this track. Bloody ripper.
We should do an entire season of just different formats at Gold Coast. Should just do all street tracks.
Adelaide next.
Yeah, true. And then let's see if we can talk them into doing a super V8s at Singapore as Kurt Stenberg.
Oh, Luke Rosella.
Luke Rosella was not expecting that.
No. Hefty thwack. Oh, there's damage.
And he's got
Is that damage?
That is damage for Kurt Stenberg. No. He cannot turn that car left. Same issue as Dayne Warren in the previous race. We've got Paul/Melon Lord in the chat just saying this looks like landing in the Phoenix. No face cam this time. No majestic beards. Travesty. Gold Coast is best coast after all. Well, you know, we might have to disagree on that particular one.
So Aiden Sykes is having the same sort of issues that Kurt Stenberg is having right now. Desperately getting in the way of David Nenadich there. Kurt Stenberg into the pits as well. Cars left and right smoking. It's absolute chaos out there right now.
It is. Kurt Stenberg into the pits. He's going to need some repairs, so that's going to be quite a lengthy pit stop. Luke Rosella now inherits the lead.
Of course, he has to take his second pit stop. Ethan has already done that, and so too Dayne. In fact, Dayne's caught up to Ethan.
Dayne's right on him. Yeah, there was about 2 seconds the gap for most of that middle stint between the pit stops, but looks like Dayne's caught right back up on him following the second round of pit stops.
So this is for the net lead of the race, I believe.
It is. Looks like some damage on the ZB car just in front of them, which I believe is Zach Baker.
And why is he that far
This
back?
is technically for position. Zach Baker is second on track because of his very late pit stop.
Hasn't done his second stop though. And neither
he
has
hates it,
Luke
Macau,
Rosella.
says Mr. Walshy.
I'd like to see him do
me.
that incredibly tight hairpin. They'd have to flick spin it around that, I think. Oh, Zach
I
Baker
would be very
got
keen.
all out of shape on the exit, and Ethan Warren did an incredible job there to try and get out the way. Then he gets rear-ended by Dayne Warren. It was almost 3 wide there, and they both managed to clear Zach Baker, and it's play on. Luke Rosella leads the race because he hasn't made his second pit stop. And these two set to inherit it.
Dayne did give Ethan a tiny tap as they were heading into turn 11, but I don't think there was any intent behind it. It was simply the getting caught up behind Zach Baker.
This is about to become a lead battle because Luke Rosella is in the pits.
Very good. So
and Aiden Sykes has just come off the jacks after repairing that car.
That was a hefty pit stop.
Now there's a yellow flag up here. So is there someone stranded?
No, don't see any stopped cars. It looks like it's cleared.
It's cleared, all right.
May have been RSM Latino who's just ahead of this battle. Looks like he's in a bit of a no man's land of his own.
No.
Aiden Sykes with a drive-through penalty for speeding following that very long pit stop. He was just that eager to get back out on the racetrack.
How many times have we seen that? Oh, and both of them tagged the wall there on the exit.
I don't think we've seen this many. I'd be surprised if we've seen this many drive-through penalties in the rest of the season combined.
Well, it's funny. They seem to happen often just after someone's crashed and they're trying to get back to the pits to repair the damage, and then they speed on their way in. So, you know.
I suppose it's hard to slow it down when your tyre locks like that. So
yeah, you're not expecting that. Well, you just don't know what you've got often, so you don't know exactly when to brake to get it down to that 40 kph speed limit.
So exhibition race over the holidays at Macau, yeah, I'm keen.
Oh, absolutely.
Put a special stream on for that.
That sounds like a fun idea, but it also sounds like just pure pain and torture when you actually get into it. Although I'd do it in the F1 car if everyone else is in the supercar.
There we go, yep.
Love an unfair advantage.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Well, looks like most of the pit stops have eventuated. Zach Baker has now had his second pit stop, so there was a short 8-lap stint there in the middle.
Here goes Dayne down the inside of Ethan. Is he going to be able to get it stopped? He's tagged Ethan, and Ethan drives around the outside with better traction. While this was all happening, Luke Rosell did rejoin the track back in 3rd place, so he's ahead of Kurt Stenberg, who looks like he's in a bit of a battle with Colin Warwick at the moment, although it's not as close as it might look on the timing screen. Probably about 5, 6, 7, 8 car lengths. So we'll stay on this late battle.
8.
Yes, my boot scooting baby is driving me crazy. My obsession for a Western.
My dance floor date. My rodeo Romeo. My cowboy guy from head to toe. Gonna make you mine. Better get in line.
5, 6, 7,
8.
Car lengths is the gap between Colin Warwick and Kurt Stenberg. So Dayne Warren going down the inside once again at the hairpin. Trying to get the better drive on the exit is Ethan, and once again, it's that drag race down to the back chicane, and we've seen Ethan back out of this already a couple of times tonight. Will he go and just send it this time? Dayne is the one who backs out on this occasion.
And it never ceases to amaze me they managed to get through that unscathed, although Ethan has tagged the wall on the last 2 laps, doesn't seem to have caused him any damage. They are the pace that they take through there is absolutely insane. The amount of air in those chicanes is kind of crazy, says Melon Lord. Absolutely correct. Kind of crazy is
very crazy. Yeah.
Very crazy. Very mentally unstable. Aiden Sykes has DNF'd. I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, he's gone through the ringer tonight. David Nennett is down 2 laps as well, so he's had some issues that we really haven't caught too much of. We just briefly saw a bit of the battle between Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick, which is a bit less than 5, 6, 7, 8, more like 1, 2, 3, 4 car lengths. But the battle between Dayne Warren and Ethan Warren is on. Is Dayne going to try and sneak his way down the inside of that first chicane? We've seen both of these drivers be a lot more circumspect through there because it really takes a lot of guts and maybe a little bit of stupidity to make the move down at turn 1 there, because it just doesn't work out. And they fight on for another day. Ethan Warren, who has got a lot of podiums this year, a handful of victories, but not as much as Dayne Warren, who's having his victory lap basically after winning the championship simply by starting this race. I think he might have got a track cut coming over the back chicane on that occasion as he goes down for the inside at turn 11, and Lachlan Horan with a drive-through penalty.
Luke Rosella is setting the timing screens alight. He was only 1/100th off setting the fastest lap of the race on the previous occasion. He's now set the fastest first and second sectors once again, as Dayne slips through.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of contact there. Dayne may be redressing the position here because Ethan's up along the inside. Let's see whether Dayne lifts out of it and slots in behind Ethan, or maybe it was just one of those, fair play bump and runs. I think Dayne might be... No, I thought he was going to give the position back, but no, he's emerged out in front, and they're going to come across Ben Rhodes, who gets completely out of the racing line there. Great job there from Dayne Warren. Well, yes, good job from Dayne Warren. What I meant to say was great job there from Ben Rhodes, as Luke Rosella proves what you just said by setting the fastest lap of the race.
15 seconds behind these two, though, so unlikely to matter at this stage, unfortunately. Although we saw what happened around this time last race, and that certainly shook things up.
Can't believe we haven't had a safety car.
I know. Blows my mind. I keep thinking every time there's a yellow flag, I keep expecting to see it flashing, but it has not yet. So that battle between Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick is about the same as this battle between Dayne Warren and Ethan Warren.
Yeah, just looks a little bit more out of control over the back chicane. That's the only real difference.
Thomas McMillan in a land of his own in 6th place, so decent job for him so far. Zach Baker in 7th, and Alex Cattle in 8th. Hayden Link 9th, and Arison Latino rounding out the top 10 as we stand.
Considering his start, that's actually quite impressive, Thomas McMillan. He's got a pretty damaged car. Did have a pretty fierce battle with Corey McFarlane earlier on. It looks like Dayne might be just edging away from Ethan Warren here.
We've seen how rapid Thomas McMillan can be around here, so he's... I think he said after the Bathurst 1000 that he'll attend whenever he can, but work commitments and such make it difficult to show up on a regular basis. So hopefully next season his work can roster themselves around us.
A lot of the drivers in this series are quite young, and often, they're still in high school, so they don't necessarily have these work commitments. And then they get older, they get into their, that's a touch with the wall with the Kurt Stenberg. That's going to put Colin Warwick up the inside. I'll finish that point in a moment, because Colin Warwick is making that position currently up into 4th place. Does Kurt Stenberg have the ability to fight back? He throws it down the inside, and the two go side by side. One corner favours one driver, the other corner favours the other driver, and Colin Warwick, I think, marginally with his nose in front here. Oh, a little bit of lag there. They both kind of slid sideways. Kurt Stenberg manages to get back in front, and they're going to drag race their way down the start-finish straight.
They look like they're even bump drafting. Colin Warwick pulls out to the outside of this long curving straight, which again is a contradiction of terms. He's going to have the inside for the chicane. Is he going to think better of it? He does indeed. Colin Warwick is a wise head on those young shoulders. He's a father now. He's got a family to worry about, and they say that once you've got a kid, your racing goes out the window.
I don't know if that's exactly the saying, but yes, they often say it slows you down. Luke Rosella with a drive-through penalty. Oh, he's not going to be able to serve that without losing the podium, I think, because that gap, 15 seconds. Position. So this battle we're looking at between Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick is now for the final spot on the podium.
Kai Jones just rolled over at turn 11 was the thing that I was
and
moaning
these two
about.
are coming up to that, and it's been contact with Colin Warwick and Kai Jones, which takes him out of that battle for the podium.
No.
Desperately bad luck for Colin Warwick.
On the second to last lap, so Luke Rosella has begun the start-finish straight. He's going to have to come in to serve that drive-through, indeed he does. Where is Kurt Stenberg? Kurt's just coming out of the last corner now as we see a replay of that contact with Kai Jones. So Luke Rosella touring the pit lane much too slowly. There he is as Kurt Stenberg flashes past, and Colin Warwick, and Luke Rosella, in fact, is DNFing out of the race. That's got to be frustrating. When you're in a podium position and you manage to get one too many track cuts. Must be easier to do considering the chicanes. Very, very bad luck there for Luke.
You're looking at the champion-elect. Dayne Warren is, after quite an inauspicious start to this race, he'd won the championship by starting it and then got into quite an interesting exchange with the man that he shared a car with at Bathurst. They hit each other quite a few times, and he's had to recover from that, got ahead of Ethan Warren, and after throwing away the first race, takes victory in the second race, in the same race that he's won the championship. Dayne Warren has done it.
Excellent. He's been in the class of the field all season, so can't say that he doesn't deserve it. Kurt Stenberg comes home in third place. Good to see him on the podium. Well, I shouldn't say that. He's still coming down the start-finish straight, but...
Yeah. Ethan finished second and is showering the track with smoke with some celebrations as he goes past Dayne. There is Kurt crossing the line, and Colin Warwick, after colliding with Kai Jones late in that race, comes home in fourth place, which was fifth earlier on. Had a good battle with Kurt over what was fourth until Luke Rosella got a drive-through penalty. Thomas McMillan's going to come home for an unlikely fifth place finish. Zach Baker in sixth. And then Alex Cattle, good job from him, up 7 spots from where he started. So hasn't raced for a little while, and his qualifying form kind of showed that a little bit, but kept his nose clean for a strong finish inside the top 10. And then behind him, Hayden Lincoln, RSM Latino, a lap down on the leader, with Kai Jones finishing in 10th place, rounding out the top 10.
We did say that Alex had been a perennial top 10er, so he managed to get back into that said position. Good to see. Luke Rosella still going to finish in 12th, despite his DNF, because he DNF'd 2 laps up on the cars behind, which are Lachlan Horan, Rhodey, and David Nedich. And Aidan Sykes, Corey McFarlane, and Trent Allen, the DNFs for this race number 2.
What organised chaos this event has been. Just all the way through. Mighty entertaining stuff here in the Automobilista Supercars Championship, where Dayne Warren has been crowned champion for the second time. And that he now becomes the second 2-time champion in ASC history, with Kurt Stenberg being the other. Taking it in turns, it was Kurt the first year, Dayne the second year, Kurt the third year, and Dayne the fourth year.
Yes, indeed. There's still one round left to run in Adelaide, which will all, I imagine, just be gloves off, fighting for the win. So exactly. That'll be entertaining.
Now that Dayne's wrapped it up, he may not even feel like he needs to be there for that, considering he only did Bathurst so that he could win the championship. Who knows?
That's true.
Or he might just,
was evidenced by the name of the team.
Either that, or he just comes for a victory lap. And it's a popular racetrack that we didn't really know if we would see again. But sounds like, well, since it's going ahead in real life, we're happy to be back in a virtual sense on the 12th of December for what will be the final round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. And we've got some of the drivers dropping in there into our broadcast channel there, Madbird.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'll kick things off with the formerly defending champion, now defeated champion, Kurt Stenberg. Sorry, that sounded a little bit harsher than I intended it to. Welcome to the box. Congrats on the third place in race number 2. Race number 1 did not go the way that you probably hoped. And unfortunately, a third championship not on the cards for you this year, Kurt.
Is it over, is it?
Well, we
According
think...
to our provisional mathematics, we believe so.
Oh, no.
Okay. I don't know, I'll have to have a look, but I thought it was a little bit closer than that. But race 1, I'm very disappointed because who would have known what was going to happen at the end of that race. We managed to undercut everyone and come out in front. We were going to struggle for tyres at the end, but we probably hung on better than what we thought, so we could have defended and maybe got ourselves into one of the front positions there, but not to be. And then race 2, well, 6th position, wasn't happy with that, screwed up qualifying, and then got a mega start, got past Luke at turn 1 because he tried to take me out, as he does, the dirty driver, and then, raced around. We went longer because of all the dramas that happened around us, and that it lost us spots, but I think it was we were never gonna be racing Dayne or Ethan anyway, so it wasn't really our race. But we managed to get back past Luke, and then we made a slight mistake in the chicane because I knew I was short of track cuts and I had to try and make it. And Luke drove into the back of me after I hit the wall, and then we plodded around, and then Luke's terrible driving caused him to get a drive-through, and we got a podium. So
no love lost between yourself and Luke Rosella then, it feels.
Well, no, not after, his driving. He just tries to have people off, so, And then he's DNF'd both races tonight, so it just goes to show he's the new Thomas McMillan.
Just goes to show. On one of the few nights when Thomas McMillan has shown up, he has been usurped.
He has. Thomas drove well tonight. Thomas drove well tonight.
He did, yeah. It's almost like, if he's not winning, then he's losing. But he just sort of was in the middle tonight, which is rather disappointing. We expect more from Thomas, to be honest. Well, we were under the impression that the championship has now been decided, but we'll be happily proven wrong if that's the case. I suppose we'll wait and see.
I'll have to double check, but I mean, let's be honest. If it's not over, it's effectively over. But I'm not sure if it's officially over. I'll just have to check that. But it's going to be very close. Going to be very close to being over anyway. It's going to literally require turning up, I think. From what I think.
So obviously my spreadsheets are totally provisional, but by my maths, the gap is currently 489 points between Dayne and Kurt. So if that's the case, with only 350 points on the board in Adelaide, if I'm not wrong, then that is day done.
Okay.
But obviously that is subject to confirmation and all of those sorts of things, which still has to happen, and we'll find out.
Penalties.
Well, yes, that's all yet to play out, of course, isn't it?
I'll just butt in quickly. Under investigation, Dayne Warren.
Very good. Very good.
So we know that that's happening. Madbird, who are we talking to next? I've been buried in spreadsheets while you've been interviewing drivers.
No, that's fair enough. This is sort of the opposite of Max Verstappen finding out that he's the champion in the ready room. It's the commentators finding out that the person we thought was the champion might not be the champion. So, Stairs, I believe you have Ethan Warren.
So Ethan, you've had quite a good run of results today. An unexpected victory. I can't imagine you were thinking that you would come across your stricken brother in the first race, and then a good battle in that second race, just pipped in the end though.
I thought second and third were pretty much, they were the only positions we were fighting for, to be honest, because Dayne was pretty much gone. So that was a bit unexpected, but I suppose you take them when you can. But the second race was definitely exciting. We had a good battle. Just didn't have enough tyres in the end to hang on.
Yeah, and tell us about that moment in the first race where you ended up getting into that bit of a tangle with Corey and Dayne. And then it looked like Corey kind of eased off to redress towards the end of the race. How did you see that?
I think Dayne was having problems. I'm not sure what problems he had, but he was just trying to get through the corner, and Corey probably didn't expect the check-up and just ran into both of us, so it was a bit interesting.
But nonetheless, you take a win when you can get it, don't you?
That's exactly right. It was a good night overall.
Absolutely. So congratulations on a strong night for yourself, Ethan. Madbird, who have you got next? Colin Warwick?
I've got, Colin Warwick did have a podium, didn't he?
Yep, in the first race. After all, everyone tripped over themselves.
Yeah, no, it was surprising for me too.
It was a long time ago. Congratulations on the podium, Colin. And yeah, again, much like Ethan, probably a bit of a surprise. But you were sort of you had decent pace tonight, but just it feels like the Warren brothers are sort of at another level.
Yeah, they're way up the road. Anytime you can be within a second or that with them in qualifying, you're pretty good. But yeah, tonight I just couldn't get it done in quali. I got held up on nearly every lap. I dropped out in the first quali. Yeah, so even in that second quali, I got held up on every single lap. So I ended up starting P8, which wasn't my true pace. But then, yeah, trying to fight through these guys while they're doing the things they're doing was interesting. But yeah, pretty happy with the results tonight anyway.
And unfortunate in that second race as well, during your battle with Kurt, to come around turn 11 and find a stricken Kai Jones horizontal across the track in front of you can't have been the ideal situation.
Yeah, look, I was warned, but I was still too busy reading Kurt's rear wing number, so I was too focused on where I was going to get him and trying to focus where he was weak. But yeah, then a Monster Energy Mustang was right in front of me, so not much you can do there, and I just prayed that it didn't puncture a tyre or have too much damage, which it didn't, so I was pretty lucky.
Able to get it home. So looking forward to Adelaide next time out. Are you a fan of me and Stairs' home race?
Yeah, I love the Adelaide circuit. I think it's probably the best street circuit in the country.
Oh, well, that's pretty good.
Correct.
That's considering we've just come from Gold Coast, which I'm reliably informed is Best Coast. That's some pretty good review. So look forward to seeing you out on track next time out, Colin, and crossing fingers for some podiums for you.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
And Stairs, I believe you have our possible champion-elect.
Yeah, unless my maths is really bad, and there is a potential that that's the case, but I believe I'm talking to our championship winner, Dayne Warren. Well done.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that's the case, but yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, thanks if it is, but yeah, I really don't think it is after the last race. I don't think we're going to come away with a win. I don't know what we're going to come away with, but I guess we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, so I guess run us through that from your perspective. It looked like a bit of a messy start, but you did recover in the end. But how did you see it?
I mean, I think it's typical me and Thomas racing to a degree. I mean, I don't remember much. I remember going for a move up the inside of Beach Chicane, and it was probably optimistic, but yeah, like I said, I barely remember it, and I'm fully expecting a penalty for having him in the fence, although I did low-key enjoy it, but another note. But yeah.
Wobbler.
And then the first race, I mean, that obviously didn't go your way as well, but then for very different reasons. Was it just the tag on the back chicane that caused your damage, that kind of spiraled towards the end?
Yeah, I think in the first race it was just a slight mistake at the last curve of the chicane, and just hit the wall at a bad angle and got a tyre puncture, which, I mean, you pretty much can't turn left at all when you have a punch from the right front, so that's where sort of the big checkup came with Corey and Ethan at the end of the first race. So it probably looks like I was slowing up and trying to do something funny, but generally that was all the car could do.
Fair enough. Well, I think considering how much time you were bleeding, you did well to bring it home in fourth in that race, and we'll see what happens with pending investigations of the second race, and look forward to seeing you in Adelaide.
Yeah, likewise. Hopefully, well, yeah, I hope with the lead that we have that we can close it out there, but I mean, we'll see after tonight.
Very good. Thank you for talking to us, Dayne, and to all of our podium sitters. Well, Madbird, it's kind of Schrodinger's championship. Has he won it? Has he not won it? We'll find out in the weeks to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's going to fall to. It's not. You're not even going to be there to witness what the result happens to be, because you're not going to be here for the final round in Adelaide.
Yes, you and Floody, I'm sure, though, will. It'll be in your capable hands, and I'm sure you'll bring it home in
bugger
style.
it up in an entertaining in an entertaining fashion.
Exactly right. So, well, don't miss that. It's on the 12th of December, and until then, we're going to bid you adieu. So, Madbird, bye for now.
I'll see you later.
Hey Dayne,
Yes, Thomas?
let's
Did you